जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Thank you once again, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, for kindly hosting today's 31st session on Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. I'm very grateful that you have kindly hosted all these sessions. I'm also very thankful to Param Karuna Prabhu, who is our backup host, and to all the wonderful devotees who've been part of this great journey on exploring Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam from various angles. Before we continue, I'll share my screen. So you'll be able to see the screen now. And we are continuing our discussion on Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Before we continue the journey, I'll once again sing the verse that was composed for this particular verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Ekātmani vyavasthāyam tridehe vākchatushtaye panchatatve षडक्षेषु सप्तचक्रेषु मे तथा सदा विशतु गौरांग महाप्रभुमुखोद्गतं रम्यं शिक्षाष्टकं येन धन्यः स्याम भूरि भूरिशः. So the meaning has been read many times. Devotees can refer to the meanings which have been read in the previous sessions. We'll also sing a verse which is, every time we have a new verse about the glorification of Bhagavan's Naam. And here is a verse from Shri Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Shri Rupa Goswami quotes a verse which was spoken directly by Shri Krishna. Granam etat pravriddham me hridayannapasarpati yad govindeti chukrosha krishna mam duravasinam. So this particular verse, Shri Krishna says, Rinam means debt. So Rinam etat pravriddham me hridayat na apasarpati. My heart feels burdened by a debt that does not seem to go away. And this is the debt of gratitude. And when did Krishna get this debt of gratitude? When Krishna, you can see in the last line, Krishna with the long A, that is the name of Draupadi. When Krishna called out to me, and what did she say? Govinda iti. Oh Govinda. When she chukrosha, when she cried out loudly, she immediately made me indebted to her, although I was situated far away in Dwarka. Why does Bhagavan feel indebted by Draupadi's utterance of his name? Because in that assembly of the Kauravas, instead of putting faith in all the great personalities who were present there, Draupadi decided to put unconditional faith on Shri Krishna, who was not even physically present there. Although Krishna is present everywhere, but from the physical point of view, he was not visible in that assembly. Still, Draupadi expressed her dependence, expressed her affection for Bhagavan by crying out to him in that particular assembly. And since Shri Krishna felt this debt towards Draupadi at that particular point of time, he immediately came to that assembly in order to rescue Draupadi at a time when nobody else could have rescued her. So this particular verse from the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is a testimony to the fact that Krishna does feel indebted when somebody calls out his name with great fervor. And this verse is a very sweet reminder of that particular fact. We are on the second verse of Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam, Nam Namakari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpitani Amitah Smaranena Kalaha etādṛśī tava kṛpā bhagavan mamāpi durdaivam īdṛśam ihājani nānurāgaḥ. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, can you kindly read the Anvay?
O Bhagavan, in regards to your unlimited names, immense variety has been manifested by you. Moreover, all of your personal potencies have been eternally invested in these names, and no specific time has been fixed for remembering them. Such is your causeless mercy, yet my misfortune is such that no genuine attachment was developed by me in these names.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we are discussing the final part of this particular verse. Such is your causeless mercy, yet my misfortune is such that no genuine attachment was developed by me in these names. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has specified the main reason for not developing attachment, the main cause of misfortune is the 10 Nam Apradhs, and therefore we have been discussing the 10 Nam Apradhs in great detail. Although these Apradhs were discussed previously in the Upadeshamritam series when we were on the 7th verse, but at that particular point of time we discussed from the point of view of the commentary of Shri Sanatana Goswami on the Hari Bhakti Vilas. That was the point of view taken in that series. In this series, I am taking a completely different point of view. Most importantly, the practical application point of view. And if there are some other acharyas who have explained the same aparadh in a different manner, because our main aim is to get rid of the aparadh. From which acharya's teachings you get rid of the aparadh, that is a secondary consideration. As long as we get rid of the aparadh, our purpose is solved. So that is the main consideration here. And therefore, today we are continuing that discussion and we are into the fifth Nam Aparadh. And the fifth Nam Aparadh is Tatha Arthavado. Tatha Arthavadha. Tatha and then. Tatha means and then. Then which Aparadh? The fifth Aparadh, which is what? Arthavadaha. And the translation is to think of Arthavad in relation to Harinam. So what is Arthavad? I had explained in the Upadeshamritam series, but still I will explain some of those concepts again so that those who are viewing this particular verse for the first time, they will also have an idea about what is Arthavad. We need to understand what is Arthavad. So we will go to the traditional sources of Arthavad and learn the meaning of Arthavad. And then we will also understand how this Arthavad gets applied in the context of Shri Harinam. For example, I will give, before I explain the technical meaning of Arthavad, the simple meaning I will explain it first. There are many people in the world who, although are uttering Harinam, but when they hear statements that glorify Harinam, for example, Shastra says, uttering one Harinam is sufficient to destroy all sins. So, after uttering one Harinam, they see that, well, nothing has happened. I am the same person as I was before. What has changed? Nothing has changed. So, there can be only two reasons why nothing has changed. First, either Shastra spoke something which is not the truth. Shastra spoke lies. Or Shastra gave some exaggerated glory of Harinam. These are two different cases, dear devotees. First is either Shastra spoke lies to us, or Shastra spoke some exaggerated, embellished truth. One of these two possibilities enters into the mind. Now, these two are completely different understandings. The person who thinks Shastra spoke wrong, Shastra spoke falsities to us, That person is completely different. And the person who thinks, well, this was not supposed to be taken literally, Shastra spoke some exaggerated truth. That person is different. We will take up both these cases. But the person who thinks this was exaggerated truth, Shastra was only encouraging us to chant Harinam, it doesn't happen like that. You don't get rid of all sins by uttering one Harinam. Come on, it can't be that simple, isn't it? You perform sins over millions of lifetimes and then you utter one Harinam. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, how does that sound? Does that sound reasonable or unreasonable?
It sounds too easy.
Yeah, it sounds so easy, So performing sinful activities over millions of human births, and then one Harinam will destroy everything. So when people they think about Harinam in this manner, that becomes known as Arthavad. Now we will know the technical definition of Arthavad from the uh, previous acharyas in the Artha Sangraha of Laugakshi Bhaskar. Now, Artha Sangraha is a literature of Mimamsa. It is a Mimamsa Praveshika. What is Mimamsa? First, I will explain. Mimamsa is the science of understanding the meanings of Vedic statements. That is the meaning of Mimamsa. So, when you have to understand Vedas, you have to understand three things. First is Pada, second is Vakya, third is Pramana. What is Pada? Pada means the science of words, grammar. Without understanding grammar, to try and understand the Vedas is like taking a broken boat and crossing over the ocean. Unless one understands the original meaning of the terms of the Vedas, they will not be able to understand the Vedas. And the original meaning of the words of the Vedas is understood only by understanding grammar. So that is called Pada, understanding terms. Now, after understanding terms, there is also Vakya. When many words come together, they form a sentence. And the meanings of sentences can be different depending on the context. So, how to understand the contextual meaning of a Vedic statement? That is called Vakya, and that is dealt with in Mimamsa Shastra. And then third is Praman. Praman means what are the means of acquiring actual knowledge. Pratyaksha Praman, Anuman Praman, Shabda Praman. That is dealt with in Nyaya Shastra. So Vyakaran Shastra teaches Padya, Pada, Mimamsa teaches Vakya, Nyaya teaches Praman. Anybody who knows these three sciences becomes known as Pada, Vakya, Pramanagya, a person who understands grammar, Mimamsa and Nyaya. After understanding grammar, Mimamsa and Nyaya, one can have very easy entry into the Vedas. So this Artha Sangraha is an entry level textbook in Mimamsa, how to understand Vedic statements. And one of the types of Vedic statements is Arthavad. So what is Arthavad? So the Artha Sangraha defines Arthavad. Prashastya Ninda Anyatara Param Vakyam Arthavadana. Arthavad refers to Vedic statements dedicated to laudation, praise, or denunciation, criticism. Some Vedic statements will seem to be praising something. Some other Vedic statements seem to be criticizing something. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, I have asked this previously. Do Vedas have rag and dvesh? Do they have attachment and repulsion within themselves that they will criticize or praise somebody? Please tell me.
No.
No. Vedas are directly Bhagavan's manifestation. And Bhagavan has said, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, I am equal to all living entities. Why will Bhagavan praise or criticize somebody? So, ideally, Vedas should not contain criticism or praise of anything or anybody. But there are many Vedic statements which contain praise or criticism. Acharyas have said that these statements are mainly Arthavad. The purpose of those statements is to make sure that we engage in some activity and we disengage from some activity. That is the reason why such statements are given. They are known as arthavad. For example, in Vedic statements, most of the statements are vidhi vakya. Vidhi means injunction. Do this, do that. For example, the Taittiriya Upanishad says, Satyam vada, speak the truth. Dharmam chara, walk on the path of dharma. Now here there is no glorification or criticism of anybody. A direct injunction is given. Speak the truth, walk on the path of dharma. Vedic statement. This is called vidhi. Then there is nishedh. Nishedh means prohibition. For example, in the Yajurveda it is said, Kama himsi, don't harm cows or bulls. Never harm cows or bulls. So this is nishedh vakya. You must not harm cows or bulls. This is Yajurveda. Then there is arthavad. They neither tell you to do something directly, nor do they give any prohibition, but they give some praise or criticism. For example, in the Rig Veda it is given, Apama somam amrita abhuma. Apama somam, we drank the soma juice. Now soma is a plant. When you crush that plant, you get that soma juice. You offer that soma juice in fire sacrifice to the devatas, and you take the remnants of it. This is called Soma Yagya, Som sacrifice. And then the Rig Veda says, Apama Somam, we drank the Soma juice offered in sacrifice. Amrita Abhuma, we became immortal. We drank Soma juice, we became immortal. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, when it says we drank Soma juice, we became immortal, is it telling us to do something directly or is it telling us to do something indirectly?
It's telling us indirectly.
Indirectly. And what is it telling us indirectly, Prabhu? Can you try to analyze?
That if you drink soma juice, you will become immortal.
All right. So the indirect implication is perform soma sacrifice. Perform that sacrifice so that you can become immortal. Now, we will see why this is arthavad. This is arthavad because there are many people who read such statements and they performed soma yagya. But after some time they died. Now, why did the Vedas give such a statement? Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, those who performed Soma Yagya, after some time they died. Why did the Vedas give such a statement?
To encourage people to do the soma yagya.
Wonderful. So it is prashastya para. Prashastya para, the previous slide was specific. It is giving praise of a certain activity. So, for example, even in day-to-day life, we see, for example, in the Western world, there is there's a very famous saying, eat your vegetables so that you become a very strong person. And then there are people who eat vegetables only, and then they are seen to be weaker in many cases. So, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, what was the purpose of making the statement, eat vegetables so that you become a strong person? What was the purpose of that particular statement?
Encouraging them to eat vegetables.
Yes. So similarly, the Vedas also, like parents, Veda teaches. Oh, we drank so much juice, we became immortal. So in this way, this is called arthavad. Another statement of arthavad is given in the Shrauta Sutra, Apastamba Shrauta Sutra. It says, Akshayam havai chaturmasya yajinah sukritam bhavati. Chaturmasya yajinah, those who perform fire sacrifices in the Chaturmas, in the 4 months of the rainy season, because it's difficult to find wood, dry wood in that rainy season. It is difficult to perform fire sacrifices in that rainy season. Those who still manage to perform fire sacrifices in the rainy season, akshayam havai sukritam bhavati, their piety becomes unlimited. Now there are people who perform this, but still their piety was limited. Obviously, this is arthavad. Another statement, negative statement. Now we saw positive arthavad, now negative arthavad. In the Maitrayani Samhita, it says, Stenam manaha, the mind is a thief. Anritavadini vak, speech always lies. The mind is a thief and speech lies. The speech is a liar. So, Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, is everybody's mind a thief?
No.
No. Does everybody lie?
No.
No. Why did the Vedas make such statements that the mind is a thief?
To make us afraid of lying or being a thief.
Yeah. To make
Or,
us aware of the nature of the mind, to make us aware of the nature of speech. That sometimes the mind may cheat you. Sometimes the speech will lie. Therefore, make sure that you don't commit adharma. To take us away from adharma, there are some statements. These are arthavad. These are clear examples of arthavad. There is no aparadh in saying that these are arthavad because the Vedas themselves say that these are arthavad. Mimamsa is the shastra which says that these are arthavad. So the acharyas of Mimamsa have explained that these statements are arthavad, and basically arthavad is a statement in Vedic literature which glorifies an entity or an act or critiques it. And what is the purpose? When you glorify somebody, you want to engage people in that dharma. And when you critique something, you want to disengage people from adharma. That is the main purpose of arthavad statements. But there is a difference between arthavad and falsity. As I said, somebody may hear a statement about Harinam, and by chanting one Harinam, all sinful reactions from all past lives are destroyed. Then there are two reactions to such a statement. First reaction, statement is false. Right? Now, if somebody says the statement is false, they become a Nastik, an atheist. Because anybody who doesn't believe in the Vedas, that person is categorized by the Vedas as an atheist. And then there is somebody who may say, it is true, the statement is not literally false, but the statement is arthavad. It is just a statement of encouragement, embellished glories of Harinam, so that people can be encouraged to chant Harinam. So it is not false, but it is arthavad. So this is the difference between considering it false and considering it arthavad. Now, to say that it is false, basically indirectly we are doing Shruti Shastra Nindanam. That is another aparadh. And to say that it is arthavad is another aparadh altogether. So these are two separate aparadhs, dear devotees. So arthavad, a person who engages in arthavad is not saying that the statement glorifying Harinam is false. They are not saying like that. They are saying the statement is true, but it should not be taken at literal face value. It is just a statement of encouragement so that we can chant Harinam. And then there are many opinions. Some people say after long chanting of Harinam, you will get the result. Person A says, after long chanting of Harinam, you get the result. Person B says, only after chanting Shuddha Harinam, you get the result. Person C says, only at the moment of death, if you chant Harinam, you get the result. So these are many opinions around Arthavad, dear devotees. And all of these opinions are conditioning the nature of Harinam. Person A who says only prolonged utterance of Harinam will give results is also conditioning the nature of Harinam. Person B who is saying only when Shuddha Harinam will be reached, you will be able to experience the results. That person is also conditioning the nature of Harinam. And person C who says only at the moment of death it is going to work is also conditioning the nature of Harinam. All these three people are conditioning the nature of Harinam. Dear devotees, why do people call it Arthavad? Such statements, why do people consider Harinam or such Vedic statements to be Arthavad? There are many reasons given in Mimamsa. And it is important to understand those reasons from the original sources. So there are many reasons for calling it arthavad. I am giving two prominent reasons. First reason, tatha phala bhavat. This is Jaimini Sutra. Due to non-attainability of the desired result. This is directly Jaimini Sutra. Why do people call certain statements arthavad? Tatha phala, that result, abhavat, did not come. For example, the Vedic statement said, apama somam amrita abhuma. We drank soma juice, we became immortal. Dhāmeśvara Prabhu, was the result attained or not attained?
No, it wasn't attained.
So tatha phal abhavat. So it's not that Vedas are, blindly asking you to believe, then sometimes you don't see the result, then you categorize it as arthavad. Of course, it was a statement of arthavad. You were not supposed to take it literally. That statement about drinking so much juice and becoming immortal was arthavad. This is one reason. Tatha phala bhavat. I am directly quoting Purva Mimamsa Sutras of Jaimini. This is Mimamsa Shastra. One who understands Mimamsa Shastra knows what meaning should be extracted from a particular Vedic statement. Another reason. Anya anarthakyat. Also, such statements can make other statements useless. I will give an example. For example, Dhāmeśvara Prabhu, if uttering Harinam can get rid of all sinful reactions, what is the use of people performing elaborate atonements mentioned in other Shastra?
There is no use.
There is no use. So one statement will make another statement useless. And because of these two reasons, many people, when they look at statements glorifying Harinam, they apply these reasons on the statements that glorify Harinam, and they conclude that such glories are also arthavad, basically. Because arthavad is a valid concept in Vedic literature. It is a valid concept in Mimamsa. And there is no harm if arthavad is applied to Vedic statements, such as the ones I specified above. But there is a problem when arthavad is applied to Harinam. And what will happen? They think, what will happen to complex austerities? I will specify some complex austerities mentioned in the Vedas today. If Harinam bestows the same result in no effort. The commentator on Purva Mimamsa Sutras is Shabar Swami. Shabar Swami, very respected Vedic authority. He quotes a verse, Arke chen madhu vindeta kimartham parvatam vrajet. Arke chen, arka is a plant, madhu vindeta. If honey is easily available on a plant or a tree, kimartham parvatam vrajet, why will one climb a big hill to attain honey? Huh? Is there any logic in climbing a big hill to attain honey if honey is easily available on a plant or a tree? Tell me, Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu. Huh?
No.
No reason. So, statements of Harinam, glorification of Harinam are basically acting as nullifiers of all other atonements given in Shastra. Why will one perform other atonements if just by chanting one Harinam you become free from all the sinful reaction? See, the main thing is, main issue described in Vedic literature is the issue of birth and death. In all Eastern religions, this is the main issue, the issue of birth and death. And why does birth and death happen? The reason for birth and death is karma. And karma, if it is exhausted, then there will be no birth. If there is no birth, then there will be no unhappiness or suffering for the living entity. So because suffering is there because of birth and death, the reason for birth and death is karma, and atonement from karma is the solution. You remove the cause, effect gets removed. That is what it is. In order to remove the effect, you have to remove the cause. So if birth and death is the cause and the effect is suffering, what is the cause of birth and death? Karma. So you remove karma, there will be no birth and death. So how do you remove karma? Well, there are complex atonements mentioned in Shastra for removing karma. The problem is people think, and often People, how can such a simple atonement remove such a major karma? That is the main issue with Arthavad, with Harinam. The main issue that people have with Harinam is this. How can such a simple process like uttering Hare Krishna, how can this such a simple thing remove such a complicated karma that I committed in previous lives or this life? That is the main issue that people have with Harinam. And this is the reason for Arthavad. Their thought process is, in fact, many of our thought processes also, many of us are also affected by this aparadh, that if I have committed a complex karmic activity, the atonement must also be complex. And it is seen in the world also. A person gets punished according to the crime, severity of crime that they have committed. If somebody has committed a crime, and you go to the court and in front of the judge, you agree, yes, dear judge, I have committed a crime. But just if I utter your name, oh judge, I have heard that I will be freed from the crime. So, dear judge, I will utter your names. And people will say, what nonsense. Huh? Is this any way of getting rid of a crime? So people, they have this logic in the material world. Simple crime, simple atonement. Complex crime, complex atonement. Isn't it? That's how the world works. That's how the material world has always worked. And then when people come across statements, oh, one Harinam can destroy all the sins committed in previous lives. Oh, wow. What over glorification of Harinam. So as soon as that feeling enters, it is Arthavad. And therefore, these are the reasons. See, there's a reason why I'm specifying all this detail, because Vedic culture is not simply blind belief. On one side of Vedic culture is also Mimamsa. And Mimamsa may consider it as Arthavad. But there is a side of Vedic literature which deeply believes in logic and reasoning, not just blindly following anything. So I am showing you that side of Vedic literature which has come to the conclusion that it is Arthavad. And why do they consider it as Arthavad? Because many times people say, oh, just people in Vedic literature, they blindly believe anything that is given in Shruti. It's not like that. There is a big logical reasoning behind Shruti. It is called Mimamsa Shastra. And there is a big logical science also known as Nyaya Shastra. Nyaya Shastra is such that in some places it even challenges some of the conclusions of the Vedas. For example, I specified last time, Nyaya Shastra says Vedas are not eternal. So I had specified last time. So when it comes to reasoning and logic, the Vedic systems are have reached a particular, a particular extreme, such as Nyaya and Mimamsa. And when it comes to Shraddha, putting faith, you also see the other extreme, like putting blind faith in the Vedic statements. So both extremes are found. Now, since we are dealing with Arthavad, and Arthavad is heavily based on Mimamsa logic, we have to come out of this using Mimamsa. We have to understand how to come out of this feeling, that how can such a simple atonement be prescribed for such a complicated karmic activity. Once we come out of this understanding through logic and reasoning, then it will become very easy for us to understand how statements glorifying Hari Nam are not Arthavad. And therefore, dear devotees, let's take one statement which glorifies Hari Nam. Here is one statement given in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Shri Sanatan Goswami, Gopal Bhatt Goswami, they are quoting, Namnosya yavati shakti पाप निर्हरणे हरे तावत् कर्तुम न शक्नोति पातकम पातकी जनः. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, kindly read the translation.
It is not possible for a simple person to commit the number of sins that can be driven away by the potency of the names of Hari.
Oh my goodness. Really? Really? That's the claim you're making? It is not possible for a sinful person to commit the number of sins that can be driven away by the potency of Hari's names. Wow! Imagine why will a person not consider this as arthavad? There is heavy reason for considering such statements as arthavad. Now, it's actually impossible for me today to, I'm going on a very big task. Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, my task today is to justify this statement, please. So please tell me, Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, is it an easy task or a difficult task? Please tell me.
It's a difficult task.
The difficult task. It's a very difficult task. And today I have been handed over this very difficult task. Today, somehow or other, by the time this lecture ends, I have to convince people that this statement is literal truth. And then, so how do I do that? Because, I'm not a person who just believe and it happens. You know, in the US, often behind the cars there is a bumper sticker. Jesus said it, I believe it, that settles it. So you can just replace Jesus with any other literature. Hari Bhakti Vilas says it, I believe it, that settles it. But that is not Vedic culture. Vedic culture is there has to be some reason for believing. There's some logic and argumentation should be given. Otherwise, it is andha parampara. Andha parampara means parampara of blind people, one blind person following another blind person, and no logic and reasoning is given. So we are not going to do like that, right? Although other traditions may also have, Christianity may also have its logic for justifying its statements, but especially Vedic culture has logic for justifying its statements. So today we have to see how these statements are true. Now I have to bring in a personality who is the master, the absolute grand master in this one aparadh. Not in committing the aparadh, but in dealing with this aparadh. How to understand that there is no arthavad in Harinam. And dear devotees, for the first time, perhaps I'm introducing the personality. His name is Shri Lakshmidhar. Now, dear devotees, this personality is a very, very special personality. I'll give a small introduction of Shri Lakshmidhar because he's a very learned person. He's around the 15th century. Shri Lakshmidhar appeared is before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before the six Goswamis. Is learned in many branches of Vedic knowledge, especially the very logical branch of Vedic knowledge named Mimamsa, how to make sense of Vedic statements. So if such a person who has studied Mimamsa, because Mimamsa will very clearly declare, many people who are studying Mimamsa will declare the glories of Harinam to be Arthavad. Shri Lakshmidhar has also studied Mimamsa, but he wrote a composition named Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi. The literal meaning of this, the moonshine of Bhagavan's Nam. There is a composition by him, Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi. And Shri Lakshmidhar's composition, here is the original Sanskrit. It was printed in the original Sanskrit, dear devotees, from Kashi, Varanasi. This is the edition that I have used. And in this particular author is so famous in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. His name is uttered with great respect by Shri Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Shri Rupa Goswami utters his name as Nam Kaumudi Kritbhihi in plural case. The revered author of Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi has said this. In Padyavali also, Shri Rupa Goswami quotes his verses on 4 occasions, 2 of which are specified here. He is quoted by Shri Jiv Goswami in almost every Sandarbha, except for Paramatma Sandarbha. In all the Sandarbhas, he is quoted by Shri Jiva Goswami. He is quoted by Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, by Shri Baldev Vidyabhushan in Govinda Bhashya. We can imagine a very towering personality has entered amongst us, and we will take help from him. But we will also learn something more about him. This is from Sushil Kumar Dey's Padyavali edition, critical edition, where Sushil Kumar Dey, a very learned scholar, says that this author must be identical with Lakshmidhar, the author of Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi, in which all the 4 verses of Padyavali 16, 29, 33, 34 occur. A German scholar afresh notes that our Lakshmidhar was the son of Vittalacharya and grandson of Nrisimhacharya, and Nrsimhacharya was the son of Ramchandracharya. Sri Lakshmidhar was a pupil of Anantananda Raghunath Yati and Sri Krishna Saraswati. This is what we know about Sri Lakshmidhar. Before I start speaking from Sri Lakshmidhar's Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi, because this is perhaps the first time that I am speaking in some detail from Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi. And the arguments that are given in Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi are fantastic. Really, they are of such great nature that after studying Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi, we will become convinced about the glories of Sri Harinam and that they are not Arthavad. Dear devotees, let's bathe in the wisdom of Sri Lakshmidhar, who is a very certified Acharya and who glorifies Sri Harinam like nobody else. Sri Lakshmidhar starts speaking, and dear devotees, I'm quoting very selected portions because the literature is very complex. It's written by a person who has understood Mimamsa, very complex. But I am extracting the essential arguments from his literature and giving here today because I want to make it simple for everybody. The first question, he says, he says one category of individuals say that whenever the glories of Harinam are described in the Puranas, one should not take the direct meaning. And some others say that Puranas give extremely easy atonement for all the sins by prescribing Sankirtan of Harinam. Then these people say this is not justified because such easy atonement trivializes the elaborate statements given in Smriti, such as Manusmriti. Therefore, such statements in the Puranas are not literal. They are there merely to encourage the readers in lifetime worship of Bhagavan. So he's putting the Purva Paksh, he's putting the arguments of the opposition first. Yeah, devotees, there are other forms of atonement. I will give you the names of this Prayaschitta. For example, there is one Prayaschitta named Tapta Krishna. Now, dear devotees, please hear about this this atonement given in the Shastra. Now, please raise your hands and you can raise in Zoom. How many of us want to get rid of all sinful reactions that we have committed? Please raise your hands. Oh, many people, will raise their hands. See, many people have raised. Dear devotees, there is a Prayaschitta, there is atonement mentioned, Tapta Krishna. Perform this atonement and you will get rid of the sins committed in this particular lifetime. I will explain how Tapta Krishna works. First, you take some kalpa in front of Bhagavan, you go and say, Bhagavan, I am going to perform Tapta Krishna sacrifice, this atonement, Tapta Krishna. And what is that? Tapta means hot. For 3 days, you survive only on warm milk. Then for 3 days, you survive only on warm water. Then for 3 days, you survive only on warm ghee. And 3 days, you survive only on air. So total 12 days. Tapta Krishna. 3 days, warm milk. 3 days, warm water. 3 days, drink only warm ghee. And for the final 3 days, survive only on air, eating nothing. After 12 days, your Tapta Krishna is done and you are purified of all the sinful activities you have committed in this lifetime. Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu, how does the atonement sound?
It sounds hard, but for a whole lifetime of sins destroyed, that's not so bad.
Yeah, it sounds reasonable, Tapta Krishna. Now we are speaking about atonement. Some people will say, yeah, these are atonements, not once you chant Harinam and get rid of. No, no, no. These are atonements mentioned in Shastra. Another, Pipilika Chandrayan. Pipilika Chandrayan is a sacrifice which progresses and decreases according to the waxing and waning of the moon. So you begin on the new moon day. New moon day is when the moon has just started waxing. On the new moon day, you eat only one morsel of rice. And they have also specified what should be the size of the morsel. The size of the morsel should be equivalent to the size of the egg of a peacock, similar size. Okay, that big should be the size. So one morsel of food on the first day, two morsels of rice on the second, three morsels of rice on the third, four morsels of rice on the fourth. Like this, you go all the way till you reach full moon. On the full moon day, you can consume 15 morsels of rice. Then the moon will start waning. Then you decrease the morsels accordingly. All the way till you reach Amavasya, no moon day, the final day of the Pipilika Chandrayan, when you don't consume anything. And after the final day is over, in 1 month, you have performed Pipilika Chandrayan. How does this atonement sound, Prabhu?
Definitely sounds challenging.
Yeah, very challenging. Then somebody who cannot perform Pipilika Chandrayan can perform Shishu Chandrayan. Shishu Chandrayan is milder version of Chandrayan. Eat only 4 morsels in the daytime and 4 morsels in the night for 1 day. You have performed Shishu Chandrayan. This sounds much easier. Shishu is child. So child for Chandrayan for small children. Eat 4 morsels in the day, 4 morsels in the night. So like these, there are other forms of atonement. And these atonements in Shastra are effective for destroying all sins. Sri Lakshmidhar asks, wonderful, all of you seem to have faith in these atonements because they are described in Shastra. However, what exactly is the quote unquote atonement part in these atonements? Because what is atonement? When a criminal is punished in prison, even in the modern judicial system, Prabhu, Dhāmeśvara Prabhu, when a criminal is punished for theft, for robbery, why are they given punishment or atonement according to the legal system? Please tell me.
Why are people punished for crimes?
Yeah,
There's a lot of different reasons, but I think the main one is deterrence.
deterrence, so that they don't commit the same crime again. That is the main reason why people are punished in the judicial system. So Shastra is also giving some atonement. Before karma punishes you, you take some atonement voluntarily. But what factor in atonement will finally ensure that the tendency to commit sins will not arise again? That is the main question. And Sri Lakshmidhar is asking this very important question. Because true atonement is when not only have you destroyed the karma, but you have also destroyed the vasana, the tendency to commit the same karma again. Don't you agree, Dāmeśvara Prabhu, that that is true atonement?
Yes.
True punishment in legal systems, in modern legal systems, is not when you have suffered for the crime, but also when the tendency to commit the same crime again is destroyed within you. That is actually true atonement for any particular crime, even in modern day judicial systems. That is the main reason. But Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, isn't it seen often that a criminal who is released after some time commits the same crime again?
Yes.
So where was the atonement? Please tell me.
It was only temporary.
It was only temporary. So Sri Lakshmidhar is asking a very important question. What truly is atonement? In this entire process of atonement, what is that factor which will truly cause atonement? And by atonement, he indicates a change of heart, a purification of heart. What is that factor within these particular activities that will actually change your heart? Some people will say, well, it is the hard austerities that you take will change your heart. But that is not the case, dear devotees. That is not the case. If some is it the austerity part, giving the trouble to body or mind that ensures ultimate purification. Dhameshwar Prabhu, by giving trouble to the body or mind, are we ensuring that we are purified of the tendency?
No.
No, because trouble to the body or mind goes away after some time. As soon as Chandrayan is over, or as soon as tapta krichra is over, you are again eating regular food. After 2 years, you will forget the pain of Chandrayan or tapta krichra. And then again, the tendency to commit the same negative activity may arise. So it cannot be the austerity part that ensures ultimate purification. Because one karma cannot erase another karma. It's very important to understand that one karma cannot be used to erase another karma. And therefore, the Bhagavatam, he quotes a Bhagavatam verse, is very important. Karmana karma nirharo na yatyantika ishyate avidvad adhikaritvat prayaschittam vimarshanam. In the sixth canto, Sri Shukadeva Goswami says, Karmana karma nirharo nahi atyantika ishyate. Destruction of karma is not fully possible by performing another atonement karma. It is not possible. Avidvat adhikaritvat. Why do Shastra then prescribes atonements such as Tapta Krichra or Chandrayan? Such atonements are only for the ignorant ones because they are feeling guilty. I have actually committed such negative activities. I must subject my body and mind to torture. Then I will feel purified. So then if that is not atonement, then what is a real atonement? So Sri Shukadeva Goswami says, Prayas Chittam Vimarshanam. Real atonement is to have knowledge of the Supreme. Real atonement is to have knowledge of the Supreme. So this, dear devotees, is very important. The actual atonement is to have positive knowledge by which one will not commit negative activities again. That is true atonement. For example, dear devotees, we can also see another example of this in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj Yudhishthir fought the entire war of Mahabharat. Millions died in that war. Millions died. And after millions died, dear devotees, Maharaj Yudhishthir was feeling, I am the reason for the death of so many people. I am the one who caused so many people to die. And I am implicated in the sin of killing millions of Kshatriyas. So somebody came to him and suggested, see, there is a statement given in Vedic literature. What is the statement? Sarvam papmanam tarati tarati brahmahatyam yoshvamedena yajate. A person who conducts an ashwamed sacrifice crosses over all sins, including the sin of killing brahmanas. So this statement was shown to Maharaj Yudhishthir. Maharaj Yudhishthir, you conduct one sacrifice. Which sacrifice? Ashwamed. And you will get rid of the sin of killing so many Kshatriyas in the war of Mahabharata. And not only this, Shri Krishna personally ensured that Maharaj Yudhishthir carries out 3 Ashwamedh Yagyas. This is mentioned right there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Not one, not two, but 3. Because if there is something missing in 1 or 2 Ashwamedh Yagyas, it will be completed in the third one. So Maharaj Yudhishthir performed 3 Ashwamedh Yagyas under the direction of Shri Krishna. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, is this karma prayaschitta or bhakti prayaschitta?
Karma prayaschitta.
Karma prayaschitta. So Shri Krishna ensured that Maharaj Yudhishthir performs 3 Ashwamedh Yagyas. And after performing 3 Ashwamedh Yagyas, Maharaj Yudhishthir is still not happy. When Krishna is leaving for Dwaraka, Maharaj Yudhishthir stops Shri Krishna and says, I still feel I am implicated in the horrible sin of killing millions of Kshatriyas. Shri Krishna will ask, why? It is given in Shastra. Tarati tarati brahma hatyam yo ashwamedena yajate. One who conducts Ashwamedh sacrifice will cross over the sin of killing so many Brahmanas. What to speak of Kshatriyas? Easily you will cross over that sin. So Maharaj Yudhishthir told Krishna straightforward. Yatha pankena pankambha suraya vasura kritam bhuta hatyam tathaivekam nayajyair marshtumarhati. Prabhu, kindly read the translation.
As it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine-stained pot with wine, it is not possible to counteract karma of killing men by another karma of sacrificing animals in yajnas.
Yes. This is the direct statement made by Maharaj Yudhishthir. I don't believe that one karma can be counteracted by another karma. Sri Krishna, you might have made me conduct 3 Ashwamedh Yagyas, but after conducting 3 Ashwamedh Yagyas, my heart is not pacified. And I'm telling you frankly, Krishna, as it is not possible to filter mud by mud, you can't purify mud by mud, and you can't purify a vessel in which wine was kept. With wine, you can't purify that. Similarly, it is not possible to counteract one karmic activity with another karmic activity. You have to tell me something, Krishna, which will actually purify my heart. That is what Maharaj Yudhishthir said. So actually, that Ashwamedh sacrifice is also not easy. You have to take so many resources, arrange so many things, and it's going to be very difficult. And Maharaj Yudhishthir performed 3 of them. Even after performing 3, he is unhappy. It's direct praman in the Srimad Bhagavatam that karma prayaschitta, heavy atonements such as tapta krichra, chandrayana, they are not real atonements because there is no guarantee of change of heart after such atonements. There is no guarantee of change of heart. Further confirmation is given by Shri Shukdev Goswami. He uses similar analogy in the 6th canto. प्रायश्चित्तानि चीर्णानि नारायण पराङ्मुखं न निष्पुणन्ति राजेन्द्र सुराकुंभम इवापगा. Rajan, oh Parikshit, my dear king, as a pot containing liquor cannot be purified even in the water if washed in waters of many rivers, non-devotees cannot be purified by processes of atonement even if they perform them very well. There is no actual purification. And you can see this in modern day justice systems. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, you stay in the US, so many people are incarcerated, put into prison for so many crimes. And the justice system is considered to be one of the best in the world, at least much better than many other countries in the world. After those people are punished, is it ensured that the tendency to commit that crime has been fully eradicated from their heart? Please tell me.
No.
No. Now, put yourself, Prabhu, in the place of a judge, and a question is put to you in a modern day legal system. How will you ensure that this criminal doesn't commit the crime again? Please tell me.
You can't guarantee it.
You can't guarantee it. There has to be a process, Prabhu, which will finally change the heart of a person. There has to be some process, but it is impossible to find in the modern secular world. And therefore, such punishments which are given in the modern secular world, where you throw somebody in a prison and you expect that just by isolating them from the outside world, their heart will change. It doesn't work. And therefore, if you also see there are so many prison reform programs going on. People who say, no, you shouldn't put a murderer to death because death doesn't change anything, isn't it? There are people who say you should make the prison more comfortable for the prisoner. In European countries, there are many comfortable prisons for the prisoners. Unlike in some other countries like Russia, the prisons are very difficult for the prisoners. In Siberia, there are prisons which are very difficult for the prisoners. And in Europe, there are prisons which are very easy for the prisoners. You see, they are not all on the same page regarding atonement. Because finally, what will ensure that their heart changes? And that you cannot ensure unless there is one particular factor present. And real change of heart can only be ensured when Bhagavan personally enters the heart and cleanses it. Otherwise, there is no cleansing of heart. Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, if Bhagavan personally enters the heart of a person and cleanses the heart, will it be ensured that the person is freed from the particular negative tendency?
Yes.
100%. Absolutely. Now, therefore, instead of performing complex atonements, why not just directly invite Bhagavan in the heart by performing kirtan? Please tell me.
That would be better.
That would be better. So when Shastra makes statements that Sankirtan fulfills the purpose of all the previous atonements, by performing one Harinam, it is possible to counteract the negative reactions of many previous lifetimes. A person in many previous lifetimes may have been a murderer. Let's say in many previous lifetimes he has committed a murder. In every life he has committed a murder. And for all those murders that he has committed in previous human lives, he's supposed to die at an early age. He's supposed to be murdered at an early age in this life. But he chants Hari's Naam. He chants Bhagavan's Naam. Bhagavan within his heart eradicates the tendency to commit murder with that one Naam. And Bhagavan also destroys the previous karma. Please tell me, does it sound believable and reasonable?
Yes, God can do anything.
Yes. So actually in all the atonement processes that are prescribed in Shastra, what is real atonement? Please tell me. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu.
Prayer and worship.
Okay, not prayer and worship. The real atonement is bringing Bhagavan within the heart so that the heart is cleansed. Isn't it? Hmm.
Yes.
All right. So if after performing complex atonements, if Bhagavan doesn't enter the heart and purify it, did the atonement really work? Please tell me.
No.
No, it didn't work. And if by performing a simple task of uttering Harinam, Bhagavan entered and cleansed the heart so that he will never commit the same negative activity again, then the small atonement of Harinam was sufficient. And therefore, you see statements in Shastra which say that uttering one Harinam frees you from all negative reactions of the past. That is the reason. They are not there for cheating us. Those statements are not there for cheating us. The individuals who wrote those statements, Shri Shukdev Goswami, Shri Vyasadev, did not write them so in order to give us an easy pass. But they also knew the fact that people will simply disbelieve such statements because people have experience in this world that for a small crime, there is small atonement. For a big crime, there is big atonement. So, how is it possible that for a big, so much elaborate karma that I have committed in previous lives, just a simple atonement will be sufficient? Because these people don't know what is real atonement. Real atonement is change of heart. Real atonement is not to go through suffering. Even in atonement such as Tapta Krishna and Chandrayan. Let's say we perform Tapta Krishna and Chandrayan. Let's say I decide that I want to get rid of all the negative reactions for this life. I'll perform Tapta Krishna. The first 3 days I am surviving on hot milk. When I am surviving on hot milk, my body and mind are famished and they are in distress. In that distress, what am I supposed to think? Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, while performing austerity, atonement, my body and mind are in distress. In that distress, what am I supposed to think?
What are you supposed to think?
Yeah.
I don't understand the question.
For example, I am performing the atonement of drinking hot milk for the first 3 days, hot water for the next 3 days, hot ghee for the next 3 days, and nothing for the final 3 days. When I am going through the suffering, ideally, what should I be meditating upon?
I'm doing this for my own good.
Yeah. according to you. And what should a
That,
person?
that I'm doing this for my own good.
Okay, that is also right. At the same time, a person is supposed to think, Bhagavan, I will not commit sinful activities again. I'm so sorry. I committed these negative activities in my life. Bhagavan, I will not commit them again. A feeling of repentance. The actual word is repentance. And repentance is only felt, truly felt, when you have Bhagavan close to your heart. Bhagavan, I'm really sorry I committed these activities. I will not commit them again. So the atonement, those elaborate atonements mentioned in Shastra, they force you to isolate yourself and go through some voluntary suffering, because it is very easy to remember Bhagavan during times of suffering. And remembrance of Bhagavan is the actual atonement, even in those particular complex atonements mentioned in Shastra. Actually, that is the true atonement, to come to the realization, Bhagavan, I will not do this again. I will never do this again, Bhagavan. I will never do this again. Even in modern day secular systems, when a person is sent to jail, he is isolated from his family, he is isolated from the society, he is isolated from all sources of entertainment, so that in solitude they can reflect upon their mistakes, and then finally they can make a statement, oh God, I'll never commit this activity again. That is the entire purpose of putting them through that suffering. That is the actual holistic purpose of putting them through that suffering. So whether you are putting yourself through suffering, or whether the government is putting you through suffering, or whether your karma is putting you through suffering, the actual atonement is only when you remember Bhagavan and repent and say that I will not commit this activity again. I will not commit it again. All right. So, dear devotees, therefore, Sri Shukadev Goswami says, non-devotees cannot be purified by atonement. They cannot be purified because they miss out on the most important part of the atonement, which is remembrance of Bhagavan. This is what Sri Shukadev Goswami says. Further, Sri Shukadev Goswami also confirms by saying, न निष्कृतैरुदितैर् ब्रह्मवादिभिः तथा विशुद्ध्यत्यगवान् व्रतादिभिः यथा हरेर्नाम पदैरुदाहृतैः तदुत्तम श्लोक गुणोपलम्भकम्. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, kindly read what Sri Shukadev Goswami says.
By acts of atonement prescribed by knowers of the Vedas, like Manu, a sinner is not as much purified as he is by uttering the names of Hari. Such names are suggestive of the excellences of the glorious Bhagavan.
So Sri Shukadev Goswami directly says, by processes of atonement given in the Smriti, such as Manusmriti, Triptra Kachra, Chandrayan, a person is not as much purified as much as they are purified by utterance of Bhagavan's names. Because utterance of Bhagavan's names is the core part of every atonement. So why not just take the core part of the atonement and bring that change within your heart? So that is what is mentioned in these particular statements of the Shastra. That is the conclusion of Sri Shukadev Goswami. Another conclusion where Sri Shukadev Goswami says, Sarvesham apyakavatam idameva sunishkritam nama vyaharanam vishnor yatas tad vishayamati. For all varieties of sinners, the most effective way of atonement is utterance of the names of Bhagavan Vishnu. Why? Why not suffering? Because suffering through other atonements may not lead you to remembrance of Bhagavan, but utterance of his names directly leads you to Bhagavan's remembrance, and the mind of Bhagavan is also attracted to the chanter. And when the mind of Bhagavan is attracted to the chanter, Bhagavan will very quickly bring about purification of their heart. And purification of the heart is the ultimate atonement. Dear devotees, that therefore there is nothing wrong in Shastra when Shastra says that one Harinam purifies you more than hundreds of other atonements. There is nothing wrong, because actually one Harinam brings you in direct contact with Bhagavan, and direct contact with Bhagavan, purification by Bhagavan, is the real atonement according to all Shastras. Dear devotees, in the Vishnu Puran also about these atonements, a very important point is mentioned. In the same line, there is very important point mentioned. Parashar Muni says something to Maitreya Muni. He says, Pape Guruni Guruni Svalpanyalpe Chatadvida. Maitreya, authors of the Smritis, such as Manu, etc., have prescribed elaborate atonements for great sins and small atonements for small sins. Prayaschittani asheshani tapah karmatmakani bhai. In all those atonements consisting of various austerities and difficult activities, tesham asheshanam krishna anusmaranam para. The highest principle, if you look into all these atonements, the highest principle is krishna anusmaranam param. The highest principle is to constantly remember Krishna. That is the purpose of all atonements, dear devotees. One who has understood this purpose has understood the purpose of atonements. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, I will give you the case of two people. Person A performs the Chandrayana Vrat, increasing amount of eating and then decreasing it, but without remembrance of Bhagavan. Person B performs the same Chandrayana Vrat, but with constant remembrance of Bhagavan. Please tell me which person's atonement is truly successful.
The person who remembers Bhagavan.
Yes. Although both of them have subjected their body to the same torture of Chandrayana, but his Chandrayana is successful who has remembered Bhagavan throughout the entire period. That is the meaning, the real meaning of Chandrayana has been attained by such a person. Because true purification is to constantly remember Bhagavan. Actually, it is not that these austerities, sometimes if you miss out on some portion of the austerity, for example, you perform Chandrayana Vrat, if you perform Chandrayana Tapta Krichra, but if there is some part missing, you did not perform it correctly. After 15 days, you realize you made one mistake. Yeah? Then how will you complete that mistake? So even in order to complete the imperfections in those atonements, at the end of those atonements, there is something specified. Mantratas tantratas chidram deshakalarha vastutah sarvam karoti nischidram anusankirtanam tava. There may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantras and observing the regulative principles. And moreover, there may be discrepancies in regard to time, place, person, and paraphernalia. But when your Lordship's holy name is chanted, everything becomes faultless. Therefore, even in performing all these atonements, if there is something missing, dear devotees, it is Bhagavan's Naam which completes the imperfections of all those atonements. This is what Shri Lakshmidhar has specified in Bhagavan Naam Kaumudi. All these arguments are taken from Bhagavan Naam Kaumudi of Shri Lakshmidhar, and these are not even 5% of the arguments given there. These are not even 5% of the arguments given there. Dear devotees, utterance of Bhagavan's Naam is a very logical and rational means of atonement given in Shastra. This is the purpose of Bhagavan Naam Kaumudi. Anybody who will understand this literature will have absolutely no doubt in the utterance of Harinam. And therefore, it's very important to study such literature as Bhagavan Naam Kaumudi. Many people say, why do you want to study such elaborate literature? What will happen by studying? Just have faith and, chant without any doubt. But dear devotees, it's very important to not only have faith, but also have faith which is based on reasoning and logic. Because that faith convinces you in such a manner that blind faith will not convince you. Therefore, it's very important. In the Ishopanishad, there is a very nice mantra given. And what is that mantra given? In the 11th mantra of Shri Ishopanishad, it specifies something. What does it specify? That we should know two things. Vidyam cha avidyam cha. Yastad vedo bhayam saha. Avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya mritam. You should know vidya, you should know what is correct knowledge, but you should also know what is avidya. You should also know what is incorrect knowledge. And why should we know what is incorrect knowledge? So that we don't become deceived by incorrect knowledge. It's important to know what is incorrect knowledge so that we don't become deceived by incorrect knowledge. And tad veda ubhayam saha, one who knows both of them, avidyaya mrityum tirtva, by knowledge of what should not be done, you will cross over death. And vidyaya amritam ashnute, by correct knowledge, you will experience the infinite, nectarian, supreme truth. So, dear devotees, it's very important to know what not to do and what to do. And both these things, dear devotees, are specified in Shastra. So, therefore, it's very important to learn about all these concepts from Shastra. One who does not learn for all these concepts from Shastra, then they become either half blind or they become fully blind. It becomes very difficult for them to progress on the path. Therefore, when somebody tells us that don't study too much Bhakti Shastra, don't study too much this literature, studying of Bhakti Shastras is part of Bhakti. It is one of the limbs of Bhakti. Therefore, it is always expected that we should study Bhakti Shastras. After deep conviction, dear devotees, now that we know actual atonement is actually chanting of Bhagavan's Naam. Actual atonement is Bhagavan entering into the heart. So why not directly invite Bhagavan in the heart? Why not invite Bhagavan in the heart directly? And what is the best process for inviting Bhagavan in the heart? The best process is utterance of Bhagavan's Naam. There is no other process as effective. You just directly address the person and invite him in your heart. And then Bhagavan, he will immediately cleanse the heart. So that was actually the process. But people don't have faith in this. No, I should suffer before I can have atonement. Well, if you believe that, then all glories to you. You suffer as much as you want. You can suffer for lifetimes. And you can use one karma to contradict another karma. You can try to do that, no problem. And if in your execution of karma, if there is something wrong, then you also suffer the consequences of doing that wrong. For example, in the sixth canto, it is mentioned, sixth or eighth canto, it is mentioned that when Vritrasur was supposed to be the killer of Indra, but because of incorrect pronunciation of the mantra, Indra Shatro Vivardhasva, incorrect pronunciation of the pitch of the mantra, instead of Vritrasur killing Indra, Indra ended up killing Vritrasur. That is karma kand. Make one mistake, and find out by suffering the reaction. So this is not how one is supposed to progress actually in spiritual life. True progress is utterance of Bhagavan's Naam. And this is what Shri Vyasadeva was also saying. So, dear devotees, Shri Lakshmidhar continues to say, some other people say that only when Bhagavan's Naam is uttered with Shraddha, faith, does it work. This is also binding the glories of Harinam. Shri Lakshmidhar says, you have not read Srimad Bhagavatam, which very clearly says, Mriyamano Harer Nama, Gridan Putro Pacharitam, Ajamilopyagadhama, Kim Uta, Shraddhaya Grinan. At the moment of death, Ajamil uttered the name of Bhagwan Narayana, although he addressed his son through that name. Despite this, he attained the abode of Bhagwan. What then to speak of those who are uttering the same name with Shraddha? See, dear devotees, what then to speak of those who are uttering with Shraddha? Two types of people are being compared, Ajamil and people who are chanting with Shraddha, which automatically indicates that even a person who does not have much Shraddha, if they utter Bhagwan's Naam, it is possible for that Naam to cleanse them of all sinful reactions. Further, Sri Lakshmidhar says, some people think multiple repetitions are needed. Single repetition will not do. These people are also conditioning the nature of Harinam. He quotes another verse, which I have quoted previously, which Sati said about Bhagwan Shiva's name. Yad vyaksharam nam gire ritam dranam sakrit prasangad agam ashuhanti tat. pavitra kirtim tamalangya shasanam bhavan ho dveshti shivam shivetaraha. Sati said to her father, "My dear father, you are committing the greatest offense by envying Lord Shiva, whose very name, consisting of two syllables, Shi and Va, purifies one of all sinful activities, Sakrit, even if uttered once." That is the main term, even if uttered once. Now, in the BBT translation, the Sakrit was not translated. I have added it here, the meaning of Sakrit. So I have highlighted in red because the meaning of Sakrit is even if uttered once. So even if Bhagavan Shiva's name is uttered once, it purifies you of all negative reactions. His order is never neglected. Lord Shiva is always pure and no one but you envies him. So Sri Lakshmidhar says, don't limit the glories of Bhagavan's Naam by saying that you have to utter multiple times. Even one utterance of Bhagavan's Naam can do what cannot be done by unlimited atonements prescribed in other Shastras. Now, dear devotees, then what about other atonements? Are they useless? Because this was one of the objections raised in Mimamsa Shastra, that anarthakyat, that other atonements become useless. If you just get free by chanting Harinam, other atonements will become useless. Sri Lakshmidhar says, he first raises the doubt. If Kirtan is such an easy atonement, and other atonements given in Smriti, such as Tapta Krichra, Pipilika Chandrayan, will become useless. In reply to this, Sri Lakshmidhar says the Puranas never denied these atonements. Do you find any statement, dear devotees, in the Puranas which say that you should not perform other atonements? No, Puranas have never denied. Just because Puranas glorified Harinam, does it mean that Puranas denied these other atonements? No. The Puranas only said that even while performing other atonements, the core of all other atonements is remembrance of Shri Krishna. That is what the Puranas said. And I had quoted those statements before in today's talk, that the real atonement in amongst all these other atonements, such as Tiptapta Krichra Chandrayan, the real atonement is to remember Bhagavan while you are going through the suffering. So the Puranas never denied these atonements. Then Sri Lakshmidhar says, Drishyate Sukara Dushkarayor Vikalpayor Vaidyeshu. Even in medicinal treatment, there are some very easy remedies and some very difficult ones. Different people have faith in different types of treatments. Similar is the case with atonements of Naam. One methodology of treatment doesn't fully negate another methodology. I'll give you a very simple example, dear devotees. Let's say some person is suffering with a toothache. Now, a toothache is a medicinal difficulty, you need some treatment. Now, there is one person who takes a very simple solution. He takes two pieces of clove, he puts it between those two teeth, and those pieces of clove disinfect his teeth, because clove is a very traditional disinfectant. You can put cloves between your near that teeth and they will disinfect your teeth. And that is the easy solution. And some other person will go to the doctor, say, I want an x-ray done of my teeth. How far is the infection within my teeth? After the x-ray is done, then he will say, oh my goodness, my tooth is infected. I want to remove this teeth. After removing the teeth, I want to put another tooth, artificial tooth in its place. And this will cost him perhaps thousands of dollars to do. Both treatments are possible. Dear devotees, that club also will finally treat you. If you put club for some time, that will also treat your infected tooth. And if you get a x-ray and get that tooth removed surgically and put another tooth in place of it, that is also treatment. But different people have faith in different treatments. That is what Sri Lakshmidhar is trying to say. You can have an easy treatment, you can have a difficult one. Finally, getting cured of the illness is your aim. So some people have faith in difficult treatments such as Tapta Krichra, Pipilika Chandrayan. Some people have faith in easy treatments such as chanting Harinam. As long as the final goal is achieved, you are fit. You are fit to go. You can take any particular method. The Puranas never deny other atonements. And therefore he says there are people who do not have faith in the process of bhakti. They will never execute kirtanam. For them, other atonements are also present in Shastra. Therefore, other atonements are not meaningless. They are very meaningful for those people who have faith, not so much faith in bhakti. Although other atonements without bhakti will give limited results. I have specified for you, they give very limited results. But still, there are some people who want to do those costly treatments. So let them do those costly treatments. And then there are some people who will take the simple, easy treatment. That simple, easy treatment is utterance of Harinam. I'll give another example. One time a person was feeling lot of pain in his chest, lot of pain in the chest. So lot of pain in the chest means you were very scared. My goodness, I'm about to experience a heart attack. Immediately went to the doctor and said, Doctor, I want to, get a checkup of my heart because there's so much pain in the heart. I'm not able to, I think I'm going to have a heart attack. The doctor said, How did you determine your own disease? No, no, I'm experiencing chest pain. Please get me a detailed report of what is going on in my heart. I said, all right, since you asked for it, I'll prescribe. So they did an MRI scan of the entire heart and they found that nothing was present. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. And there's nothing? No, there's no blockage in your heart. So why is it paining? I don't know why it's paining. There's no blockage in your heart. Right? So he came back home. Next day he went to an Ayurvedic doctor and said, even today my heart is paining. I don't know. As soon as I breathe in, my heart starts paining. So the Ayurvedic doctor said, you take this per day. It will relieve you of gas and your heart will stop paining. All right. Some gas has some gas deposit is there in your heart, it will stop paining. So he took that simple treatment and the gas was removed from his heart and it stopped paining. Dear devotees. So you can either get an MRI done for a simple gas problem, or you can simply take an Ayurvedic medicine to drive away gas. And finally, getting rid of the suffering was your aim, and Harinam can do what even complex atonements cannot do. So this is the entire purpose of Shri Lakshmidhar's analysis of Arthavad in Harinam. The entire literature, Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi, the best literature to exist on dealing with Arthavad. There is no literature similar to it because the author is a thoroughly skilled Mimamsaka. He is thoroughly skilled in Mimamsa Shastra, logic and reasoning. So when he will convince us, definitely we will be convinced, dear devotees. Śrī-Caitanya Mahāprabhu loved his logic. Śrī Rupa Goswami loved his logic. Śrī Jiva Goswami, all the acharyas loved the way he bought the essence of uttering Harinam within the domain of logic and reasoning and convinced us through logic and reasoning as to how statements glorifying Harinam are not Arthavad. So all glories to this wonderful Acharya. I'll conclude, dear devotees, with a verse that he quotes from the Skanda Puran in the Bhagavan Nam Ko. It's a very sweet verse, dear devotees. He says, Shruti Smriti hi netre dve Puranam hridayam smritam Shruti Smritibhyam hi nondha Kanah syade kaya vina Purana hina dhrichunyat Kanandhavapi tauvarau. He said, we all know Shruti and Smriti are said to be the two eyes of a learned person. We all know this. But the Puranas are the very heart of such a person. One who is devoid of both Shruti and Smriti is known as Andha, completely blind. And one who lacks knowledge of either Shruti or Smriti is known as Kana, partially blind. But not knowing Puranas is like not having a heart. It is better to be completely blind or partially blind rather than not having a heart. So it's better if you don't put faith in the atonements given in the Vedas or Smritis so much. But if you don't put faith in the real atonement mentioned in the Puranas, the chanting of Harinam, it's like you don't have a heart, dear devotees. Therefore, one who does not put faith in the statements of the Puranas which glorify Harinam, that person is missing out on the most important part of atonements. The most important part is that Bhagavan himself is the purifier of karma. One karma cannot purify another karma. Just as wine cannot wash away wine, just as mud cannot wash away mud, similarly, one karma cannot wash away another karma. Real atonement is ensured only by Bhagavan and by nobody else. So why not invite that Bhagavan directly into the heart by uttering Bhagavan's Naam? And with this feeling, dear devotees, one's utterance of Hari Naam becomes successful. One becomes free from the aparadh of considering Hari Naam as Arthavad. There may be Arthavad in many places in the Vedas, but in Hari Naam there is no Arthavad. Therefore, when the Shastras said that there is no Arthavad in Harinam, the Shastras were not lying to us. They were not exaggerating anything. They were speaking the literal truth. And only those who have understood the heart of the Shastras, a person such as Sri Lakshmidhar, will be able to tell us what that particular truth is. So I'm very thankful to Bhagavan for sending such an Acharya amongst us, and for Sri Lakshmidhar for writing this wonderful literature, Bhagavan Naam Kaumudi, the moonshine of Bhagavan's Naam. Thank you very much, dear devotees. I'll pause my speech here. Yadatra Skhalitam Kinchit Vidvam Saha Purayantu Tad. Yadatra Saushthavam Kinchit Tad Guroreva Menahi. Yadatra Skhalitam Kinchit. If there's any mistake in what I spoke, Vidvam Saha. You're all learned Vidvams. Purayantu Tad. You are learned people. Please purify whatever was mistaken. But Yadatra Saushthavam Kinchit. If there's anything nice, please remember Tad Guroreva. It belongs to my Gurujanas, especially today's presentation belongs entirely to Sri Lakshmidhar. May nahi, it doesn't belong to me. Dear devotees, thank you very much once again. Thank you, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol! Thank you so much, dear Prabhuji, for giving us so much context and depth for understanding this particular namaparad and the cultural background and philosophical, even social, when it comes to punishment and atonement. Very, very interesting. And what a wonderful scripture and acharya that you've shared with us. I hadn't heard of him before, at least not today. Maybe I heard his name in passing, but I didn't realize his significance. So thank you so much. We're going to go now to questions and answers. But first, if you're watching online and you'd like to join our live classes, please just send an email to this email address and include your WhatsApp number and country code. For our questions and answers, we request that you please only ask questions related to today's class. Ask one question at a time or wait for another turn so that everyone gets a chance. If you have a very detailed question about a very specific passage in the scriptures, it might be better for the WhatsApp group. We'll let you know. We don't want to ask any loaded or political questions which aim to hold specific people accountable or point out faults or discrepancies. This is a venue for philosophical discussion. And lastly, please keep it informal. Anything else, Prabhuji?
No, Prabhu, only it's a very informal environment. So let's keep the queries informal. And Dāmeśvara Prabhu, as long as it's possible for you to host, please let me know when you have to go.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
I'll let you know. So our first question is from Bhavya Bhagavan Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Welcome.
No problem.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in one of the previous classes, you mentioned that if someone has to suffer, but by providence, sometimes providence also arranges for some external help. And when that external help is arranged, then the suffering is automatically reduced by 50% because you are getting some good counsel from some devotee or some psychological counseling or some astrological remedy, whatever it may be. So, Roger, my question is, in the last, just at the last, you said the kind of result that bhakti can provide, nothing else can provide that, right? So, Roji, but I wanted to understand. So then, as devotees, how much preference should we give to something like psychology to understand ourselves, our personas, or something like that, or something about astrology, about uh, to astrology also our nature of what might probably happen with us, and then
Sure.
how to take shelter. And
Uh,
part of that question is this also, Toji, that if we are taking shelter of these other things, so is that mixed devotion service?
hmm.
Because we are deviating from bhakti in
Okay.
some way.
All right. I
Toji.
understood the query. The Your query basically is that sometimes providence gives us various help, and when providence gives us help, then how much faith should we put in these other sources of help that come to us, or should we take directly to Uttama Bhakti without taking help of any other things? See, the uh, main thing to understand here is that whatever is favorable for executing your bhakti, you can take shelter of. Anukulyasya sankalpah, pratikulyasya varjanam. You can take shelter of astrology if you feel that it is going to be beneficial for your bhakti. You can take shelter of some counseling by some individual if you feel that it is going to help you on your path of bhakti. As long as your nirbandha means your determination, your firm determination, Krishna sambandhe, is in relation to Shri Krishna. That everything that I am doing is for ensuring that my Krishna bhakti becomes my Krishna bhakti becomes even more facilitated. When that particular thing is being ensured, then you can then very easily you can um, progress on the path of bhakti without having these doubts. And also another thing is there is a type of bhakti called as Sangha Siddha Bhakti. What is Sangha Siddha Bhakti? We have heard of Arop Siddha Bhakti. We have heard of uh, Swarup Siddha Bhakti. There is also Sangha Siddha Bhakti. Sangha Siddha Bhakti is when you use some karma, some gyan to assist you in your bhakti. That is what is known as Sangha Siddha Bhakti. And so some karma, some gyan may be sometimes helpful in the execution of your bhakti. So that is Sangha Siddha Bhakti. You can easily take help of that as long as those that karma, that gyan does not start overshadowing your bhakti. Jnana karma adi anavritam. It should not start overshadowing your bhakti. Till that time, it is all right. So no problem. Whatever comes, if it is helpful for your bhakti, then you can, if it is making you more favorable towards Bhagwan, more favorable towards his remembrance, towards his japa, kirtan, definitely you can accept something that is coming from Shastra, or if it is coming from loka, from the ordinary world, if it is making you more unfavorable, then don't accept it. And if you have a doubt whether it is favorable or not, then ask a gurujana who knows Shastra properly. They will definitely guide you correctly. So that is what can be said in this regard. uh, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, I think the screen is still shared. Can you stop screen sharing from your side?
Oh, um, yes. I'm looking for it.
You can exit screen sharing. Okay, I've done that. Okay, let's move ahead.
Okay. Next we have Rasikananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my pranams. Prabhuji, Yogesh mentioned that all of us should read the Bhakti Shastras, like Harinam Kaumudi, all the Bhagavad Nam Kaumudi, and all the other scriptures. We should not say that why to read such scriptures in so much detail. Just chanting or another things are sufficient. No need of having so much knowledge or such detailed scriptures. But Prabhuji, when we see that like majority of the scriptures, like even the Purvacharya scriptures or even the others like the Brahma Sutras or the Vedas, so there it is mentioned, Prabhuji, that only Brahmana, by Brahman, Kshatriya and Vaishyas, they have the right, not the Shudras or the one born in the Malicha families or another things. And also, Prabhuji, I just heard like some Shri Vaishnav acharyas, they generally criticize our institution that we don't follow the varnashram. So they mention that we give even gayatris and even sannyas and make diksha gurus who are not in basically they believe in varna from birth, not from karma. So what is the actual understanding of it, Prabhuji? Like how
All,
can we understand it, Prabhuji?
all right. So your query is that uh, I have specified that we should read Bhakti Shastras in great detail, not we should not simply have a very surface understanding. Actually, this is given by Shri Jiv Goswami himself in his commentary to Anyabhilashita Shunyam. In the commentary to Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Shri Jiva Goswami says something. Shri Jiva Goswami, I will share my screen and highlight what Shri Jiva Goswami says. Shri Jiva Goswami says about it that yes, here it is. Here is what he says. He says, Jnanam atra nirbheda brahmanusandhanam. When somebody says one should not have too much gyan, what does gyan mean? Gyan doesn't just mean knowledge. Gyan means knowledge of impersonal Brahman. Too much knowledge of impersonal Brahman is not recommended. Na tu bhajaniya tatvanusandhanam api. One should not say that don't read too much about bhakti and bhakti tattva. That is wrong. One should not say like that. Why? Why should one read more about bhakti and bhakti tattva, know more about bhakti tattva? He says, Tasya avashya apekshaniyatvat. Such knowledge is definitely expected from the person who is progressing. Imagine you are progressing. In order to progress, you need some new knowledge, some new information about the subject you are trying to know. And somebody comes to you and says, no, don't try to know more about that subject. That person is speaking against logic and reasoning, plain logic and reasoning. You want to become a doctor, somebody comes and says, don't study about medicine. You want to become a lawyer, somebody comes and says, don't study law. You want to become a devotee, somebody comes and says, don't study Bhakti Shastra. It's against plain logic, just plain logic that don't study books of Bhakti. Tasya avashya apekshaniyatvat. It is certainly expected. Why is one accepting a guru? There are two reasons. The meaning of Diksha. The first meaning is Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat. That Diksha means you are given transcendental knowledge. It is the Guru's responsibility to bestow transcendental knowledge. Now, how will the Guru bestow knowledge if the Guru himself is locking the doors of knowledge by saying that don't study books? That Guru is harming us who is telling us not to study Bhakti Shastra. Actually. So, it's very important that we should know in detail. And the Guru will tell this is the Shastra, this Shastra is belonging to Avidya category. Still study. Still you should study. You should know it. Why? So that tomorrow you don't get trapped into Avidya. It's very important. I'll give an example. When I was a young student, my teacher used to teach me grammar. So one day I had just one query and I asked one query to my teacher. I asked him that, Guruji, why do people study Kam Shastra? Students started laughing because Kam Shastra, this thought, I am asking about the dealings between men and women. So students started laughing. So the Guruji answers, it's very important to understand why Kam Shastra should be studied. And then he explained what is Kam Shastra. He said, Kam is one of the four Purusharthas, four goals to be achieved in life. And then he said, if you have studied Kam Shastra, there are many topics. These topics will inform you of two things: what to do and what not to do, in order to fulfill your Kam Purushartha without harming your Dharma Purushartha. Without harming your Dharma, if you can ensure your Kama, that Kama is, Krishna says, Dharma Viruddho Bhuteshu Kamosmi. I am that Kama which is not against dharmic principles. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says. So that Kam is directly a representative of Bhagavan. He answered like this. First time I heard that answer. And then he said in Kama Shastra also there are topics which are of of great importance. There is one subject matter in Kama Shastra, Pāradarik Prakaranam. Pāradarik Prakaranam means about other people's spouses, about other people's wives. So in that topic, in Kama Shastra, it is taught how do you woo the wife of another person. My goodness, why do you have to study this? It's directly adharma. Huh? Why do you have to study how to woo the wives of others? There is a section in where Vatsa and Rishi is teaching how to woo the wives of others. But Vatsa and Rishi tells the reason why I am teaching this is so that when you get married, you should know how adharmic people will try to woo your spouse. And in order to prevent adharma in your own life, you should know all the tricks and techniques employed by other people. So, when you study Bhakti Shastras in detail, you will learn about 10 Nam Apradhs. Or why should we meditate on 10 Apradhs? Here in Siksastakam, we are meditating on 10 Apradhs today, sitting and meditating on 10. Why meditate? Just say, just specify the name and get rid of them. That's all. But it's very important to meditate on the nature of the 10 Apradhs, because only by knowing your enemy, you will know how not to become a victim of that enemy. So it's very important to study in that detail. Now, another part of your query is that these Shastras are meant only for twice born, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. So those people who come from Varnashram Bahya, that outside of Varnashram, how are they allowed to study it? First and foremost, those who know the nature of Bhagavat Dharma, the nature of Bhakti Dharma, they know that a devotee is made Brahmanavat, exactly like a Brahmana during Diksha. This does not change their historical birth remains the same, but by samskar, their samskars are changed, and therefore bhakti is capable of reforming the samskars of a person, and therefore they become like a brahmana, as worshipable as a brahmana. And still they may not read the four Vedas directly, but at least the Itihas, Puran sections they are allowed to read. Bhakti Shastras they are allowed to read. Now, if somebody says, no, they should not even read that, then how will they know what is Vidya and what is Avidya? How will they know? Huh? They must know what is Vidya and what is Avidya. Therefore, even Shri Ramanujacharya in his own life, when he was given a mantra of Bhagavan Narayan, after he got that mantra of Bhagavan Narayan, the first thing he did was on the top of the temple, he loudly shouted out that mantra along with the pranav. So that even though his guru was unhappy with him for doing so, but still he wanted to ensure that such shastras are given out to the people, because that is the entire spirit of Bhagavad Dharma. So, if you want real benefit, real benefit is in transforming the samskars of people, bringing them closer to Bhagavan. And in that, Bhagavad Dharma gives complete permission. There is nothing stopping any parampara or tradition from doing that. So that is the answer to your query. I hope that satisfies your query to some degree.
Next we have Bhakti Pravina Mataji.
Hare Krishna, my pranamas. Prabhu, I hope your health is good. I hope, including your shoulder, that it's in good recovery. One aspect especially moved me from today's class, which is the point of repentance. And if you allow me, I will give two thoughts that came to my mind. So the first one is that this is, of course, a topic which is maybe not the best to start discussing here, but it goes back to the reason why we came to the material world, or why we are forever here. So if we follow the thought that we have been here forever, so we did not make the mistake that we fell from the spiritual world. In that case, we have no guilt for being in the material world. Primarily, of course, we are kind of implicated, but and we do have some free will, but even this free will doesn't seem to really keep us from doing, problematic things with our attitude and through thoughts, words, and deeds. And as far as I have studied or understood, it is by Sri Krishna's mysterious will that we are here, because we have never seen him. So so it seems like, I'm not sure why we should say sorry or repent for something that we are not the primary cause of. And this is one reason. And if you would like to go into that, we can do that. Or if you want, I can also just tell you the other reason as well.
Okay, so let's deal with this one, and then if you have time, maybe we can come back again to you.
Sure.
So in your query, you said it is because of Shri Krishna's will that we are here. Actually, according to Vaishnav Shastra, we are not here by anybody's will or anything. We never came here. That is what Vaishnav Shastra, we eternally anadi. Our existence in the material world is anadi, beginningless. It was not that Bhagavan willed at a certain point of time that this jiva should be in the material world and this jiva should be in the spiritual world. That decision never happened. Because if Bhagavan takes such a decision, then immediately Bhagavan will become cruel and partial. And Vedanta very clearly says Bhagavan is neither cruel, Bhagavan is neither partial. Bhagavan cannot be cruel, Bhagavan cannot be partial. So, the living entities who are existing in the material world are existing since beginningless anadi time. Now, some people may say we can't accept that living entities are existing here since anadikal, because there must be some original reason. Now, these are the people who don't understand the concept of anadi. They don't understand they can't wrap their heads around anadi because they are conditioned by time. So they want everything to be sa-adi, with time. So anadi and sadi are completely opposite things. Anadi is beginningless, sadi is with a beginning. So they want everything to be sadi, they want everything to have a cause. But beginningless bondage has no cause, neither Bhagavan nor the jiva. Actually speaking, if you see, this is what Vedanta says. Now, Acharyas know that it is difficult to explain this thing to common people. Therefore, Acharyas often give Sadi karan. Sadi means they give an origin story. If there was some mistake, so you came here, and therefore that is the reason why you are suffering. But for those who are more deeply philosophically inclined, the same Acharyas also say that there was no beginning of your conditioning. Now, if there is no beginning of your conditioning, there is no need to repent. Obviously, because it's neither your fault nor Bhagwan's fault. Why should you repent? Well, therefore, repentance is not about saying sorry. See, what is the meaning of repentance? In the case of Sri Shukdev Goswami also quoted, I quoted that verse. Prayaschittam vimarshanam. What is actual prayaschitta? What is actual atonement, repentance? So, Sri Shukdev Goswami said, Prayaschittam vimarshanam. So, the actual atonement is vimarshanam, to have correct knowledge. That is actual atonement. I will quote that verse. Today I had shown that verse. Prayaschittam vimarshanam. Yes. I will share my screen so that we can have a look at the verse again. Sri Lakshmidhar also quoted this verse. Karmana karma nirharo nahyatyantika ishyate avidvad adhikaritvat prayaschittam vimarshanam. Destruction of one karma is not fully possible by performing another karma. Now you please answer me one thing. If we take two regular karmic atonements, do you think you can destroy karma by performing karmic atonements? Please tell me.
No, because as you have said today also, even if there's a mistake in our trying to atone for it, then we have to atone for that also. So it's an endless cycle.
Okay, and if there is no mistake?
Well, then the cause or the root of the sin, the desire for sin, it still is not destroyed.
Wonderful. Besides that, there's also another reason. Previous karma is unlimited and your atonement is limited. So, does it sound justified that a limited activity can counteract unlimited karma coming from beginningless time? Please tell me.
From a material point of view, it doesn't seem logical.
Well, the whole thing is material. They're not introduced anything spiritual here. So, is it logical that one atonement performed for a limited amount of time can counteract unlimited previous atonements, unlimited previous karma coming from beginningless time?
No.
No, unless the atonement belongs to a completely different category altogether. Unless the atonement is completely spiritual, that can change the entire game. And therefore, prayaschittam vimarshanam, real atonement is actually to have knowledge of the Supreme. That is real repentance. Real repentance in this case is not simply just saying, sorry, Bhagavan, I made a mistake. This is the real atonement is to have proper knowledge. Once one has the proper knowledge, then that is real repentance actually. You can call it repentance, but that is real, that is the real meaning of repentance for the jivas. To have proper knowledge, proper gyan, vidya. To gain vidya is actually the repentance of the jiva, is actually the proper atonement for the jiva. And to just artificially say, sorry, Bhagwan, so that artificial statement will not do. But gaining real vidya, gaining real knowledge of Bhagwan, showing inclination towards Bhagwan, that is real repentance. And I'll also give another example for this. Example of a husband and wife. I can give a very simple husband and wife dealing. Let's say there is a husband and a wife, and the one of them, let's say the wife is not favorably disposed towards the husband. She hates her husband. And because she hates her husband, she behaves in a way which is completely unfavorable towards him. And every time after behaving unfavorably towards him, she comes and says, sorry, I should not have done this. And again, she goes and behaves unfavorably towards him the next day. So then again, after behaving unfair, again she can, sorry, I should not have behaved like this. One fine day, the husband will say, the real repentance will be for you to become favorable towards me. Not every day committing some unfavorable activity and saying sorry after it. So this is the nature of most individuals. Even after we say sorry, the next day we go and commit the same negative activities again. That is not real repentance. Prayaschittam vimarshanam. Real repentance is to gain proper authentic knowledge. And one who has proper authentic knowledge of Bhagavan, that person has undergone real repentance. And that person is therefore known as Uttam Adhikari. Why did Shri Rupa Goswami categorize Kanishth Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari according to degrees of knowledge of Bhakti Shastra? The reason is because knowledge of Bhakti Shastra is actually real atonement. And one who has carried out atonement to greater degrees is greater Adhikari in this field. That is the real mature conclusion. Not somebody who's externally just saying sorry Bhagavan, and internally the next day he or she will still go and commit the same mistakes that they are committing previously. Prayaschittam vimarshanam. See, today we tried to take out the thorn of arthavad from its root. I could have given a lecture by saying people believe it. Shastra says believe it. Shastra says believe it. I could have given a 1 hour lecture on Shastra says therefore believe it. But today we try to take out the thorn by Sri Lakshmidhar's superior intelligence. And now we know that actually what is real atonement. Now when Shastra will say actually chant Harinam and you can get rid of your sinful reactions. We believe it actually. After reading Lakshmi, then we believe, yeah, that's it. This is it. This was the missing link. This is it. That is what I was missing. And once you know it, you have that faith in Shastra, and then you will not fall a victim to Arthavad, because there is no other form of atonement remaining. There's nothing else. Everything else has been eliminated by the superior logic that Sri Lakshmidhar gave. This is atonement. This is actual atonement. Not that, you know, preaching to the choir that, follow Shastra, and not giving any proper logic. So it's very important to understand. What comes through learning of Bhakti Shastra is unmatchable. Today, all of us are present here because of that learning of Bhakti Shastra. That is real repentance. Maybe this, that learning Bhakti Shastra is real prayaschit, Bhakti prayaschita. And I'll also like to mention this incident of very shortly of Śrī-Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and then there was this individual uh, who drank the water from Shikhi Mahiti. Yes, Shikhi Mahiti. There's an incident in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Shikhi Mahiti accidentally drinks water from the water pot of a Muslim. In those days, if you drink water from the water pot of a Muslim, you lose your jati. You lose your status as a Brahmana. So Shikhi Mahiti was trying to find atonements. Everywhere in Kashi, he went and asked, what can I do for atonement? And they said there is only one atonement for this. What is that? You drink burning hot ghee. But that will be the final drink of my life. Well, that's the atonement for it. So Shikhi Mahiti was in trouble. On one side, he has to die. On the other side, he has to get infected with the sin of drinking water from a Muslim's water pot. So what should Shikhi Mahiti do? Fortunately, he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, well, you do one thing, you chant Bhagavan's name. And that is the best atonement for all sins. And fortunately, Shikhi Mahiti put faith in the statements of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Bhagavan. So therefore, he can make such statements. But actually, the logic is given in literature such as Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi. Those literatures explain the logic behind it. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had studied Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi and also he's Bhagavan, so he knows all those arguments. But it makes a big difference after we know those arguments. So it's very important to understand, because knowledge, Vidya, will illuminate you like nothing else. And once Vidya is present, you will happily cross over. Why do you want to run with eyes closed? Open both the eyes and then run. You see the difference between running blindly and running with both eyes open. That is the big difference between somebody who doesn't have knowledge and somebody who has knowledge. That is the difference between a Kanishth Adhikari and an Uttam Adhikari. So that is what I'd like to say. If you have another point, you can wait in the line and then you can say again. Right.
Next we have Divyangi Lalita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, my humble obeisances to you and all the assembled devotees. Prabhu, initially you had mentioned like the cause for Arthavad being that we are not able to see the desired result. Initially I used to think we don't see the result of Harinam because we are not chanting Harinam purely, or we have not done sufficient japa. But then later in the class you also mentioned that that's not the reason. Harinam cannot be bound by conditions. So I wanted to understand, so then, like, what is the reason why we are not seeing the desired result?
The reason why you are not seeing the desired result is twofold. Sri Lakshmidhar deals with it. First and foremost, the primary result is that you get rid of all sinful reactions. This result cannot be seen by the material eye. How do you know whether you have gotten rid of all sins or not? Whether you perform ordinary atonement such as Chandrayan or whether you chant Harinam. Is there any visible proof that all your sins have been removed? Answer is no. The only way you can know that your sins have been removed is through the eye of Shastra. And Shastra says both types of atonements are there. Chandrayan and other usual atonements, and Harinam is also an atonement. So there is no way for you to verify whether all the sinful activities from the past have been removed or not. Acharyas also say that you can see some things by their effects. For example, the suffering starts reducing. Those who become devotees, usually, in most of the cases, you see that their sufferings go down immensely. And why do their sufferings go down? Because of Vidya, because they know first Vidya, you are not the body, you are the soul. First Vidya is taught to them. And then this is not your final life, you will have future lives. So you are not going to die with the death of this body. Another level of Vidya is taught. With ever increasing Vidya, their suffering keeps going down. Material world is temporary. More Vidya. So by with every layer of Vidya that is added, their suffering keeps going down. So if you want to see according to the effects in the life of a person, you can see the effects in the lives of devotees. Devotees usually don't become affected even by the biggest of calamities. If you ask devotees, if you tell people who are not devotees, tomorrow there will be a nuclear attack and the world will be destroyed. If you tell them, most of them will, panic in a very severe way. If you tell the devotees that tomorrow there will be a nuclear attack and everything will be destroyed, they are more mentally prepared for such an outcome. And they'll say, all right, even if that is the case, I know what to do. So, which means that tomorrow is a very good opportunity for me to get out of the limitations of this body and finally, try to have samadhi and meet Bhagavan Shri Krishna tomorrow. That is the attitude of the devotees. And this attitude is because of Vidya. They have learned something which the non-devotees have not. Bhakti is what taught them. Bhakti is what helped them. Your Harinam is what helped you. So all of this has helped you. And therefore, Shri Krishna confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita. A very important uh, verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Yam labdva cha aparam labham manyate nadhikam tatah yasmin sthito na dukkhe na guruna api vichalyate. Tad vidya dukkha samyoga vyogam yoga samgitam. Very important verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, established thus one never departs from the truth. And upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. This is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material. No, Harinam is enabling you to do this. It is Harinam which enabled you to attain. Many devotees are already in this state. They know that there is no greater gain to be attained. They have already attained the highest gain. And even in the midst of the greatest calamity, they will not suffer like the ordinary materialists. And then that is actually they are becoming free from. You can see in your life that Harinam also did the same thing, which other atonements can help you do. But other atonements are handicapped without Krishna Nam, without Bhakti. But Bhakti is not handicapped without other atonements. That is the difference between other atonements and Harinam. In fact, Harinam is the heart of all the other atonements. And I specified so many verses to that effect today. The sages have analyzed what is real atonement. Real atonement is Bhakti. That is a real atonement for any individual. So I hope that answers your question to some degree of satisfaction. That, even this Harinam, even utterance of Harinam, it removes all suffering and it gives you that highest bliss which the living entity is looking for constantly. So Mataji, did that answer to your query to some degree of satisfaction?
Yes, Prabhuji. I should probably put it differently. I mean, I've come a long way, Prabhu, whatever you said, like, it's all because of the glories of Harinam. But like statements like the Sakrit, where it says like just once. So, so I mean, we're not getting the highest benefit, which is Krishna Prem. We have come a
Oh,
long way.
of course. Of course. You are looking for the highest benefit now. Krishna Prem. Most of the statements regarding Harinam are about getting mukti. And what you are looking for is bhakti. Now that you are seeking personal favors from Bhagavan, that's a different game altogether. If you are looking for mukti, that is very easy through Harinam. That is very easy. If you are looking to enter into the personal chambers of Bhagavan and render eternal service, that has many other variables involved, including the desire of Bhagavan. Therefore, there is a statement in Shastra to that effect. I will quote that statement from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and you can see this is 5.6.18 Srimad Bhagavatam, and I'll only quote the final line which is of relevance here. Muktim dadati karhichit smana bhakti yogam. And Mataji, you can kindly read this final sentence in English. Please tell me what it says.
Those engaged in getting the Lord's favor attain liberation from the Lord very easily, but he does not very easily give the opportunity to render direct service unto him.
Muktim dadati karichidam. One point of time he'll give mukti very easily. Smana bhakti yoga. Bhakti, no, 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 not so easy. Oh, but Harinam should have given bhakti also. Well, Harinam can give you results in relation to freedom from the material world, and Harinam can also give you bhakti. But bhakti is not just freedom from the material world. Bhakti is attainment of that positive eternal service of Bhagavan, and for that reason it also requires the willingness of Bhagavan, the kṛpā, mercy of Bhagavan, Shakti, the mercy of Bhagavan. And you can't put that in a formula. You can put the removal of karmas in a formula, but you can't put the attainment of mercy of Bhagavan within a formula. So for most of us are chanting Harinam and we are expecting bhakti, that is eternal seva. But that guarantee cannot come because you are dealing not with removal of material karma here. You are dealing with attainment of a spiritual eternal position here, which is dependent on Bhagavan's ichha, Bhagavan's free will, Bhagavan's mercy. So that is a different consideration altogether. So I hope that answers your query to some degree of satisfaction.
Yes, but thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Next we have Omkar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
My pranam.
Thank you for the wonderful lecture, Prabhuji, today. When you started with the topic of defending this point, I was just thinking about the same personality. It was so good to hear from him. Because the book itself is very difficult to understand. You took out the sections out of it.
You tried understanding the book, eh?
I did try, but the Mimamsa was very, very tough. I mean, I have to first understand the complete Sanskrit and then complete Mimamsa also.
Oh my
So
goodness.
at one stage I backed off.
Yeah, complex problems have complex solutions, but the problem of Arthavad was born from Mimamsa. So the solution should also come from a person who knows Mimamsa thoroughly in and out. So that solution is, we have a very good personality in the form of Shri Lakshmidhar. And it's a wonderful, wonderful analysis. Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi. Anybody who understands this book even once in their lives, even once, it's a guarantee that they'll never fall into this Arthavad thing ever again. But the book is very difficult to understand. Fortunately,
The
there's
book has some commentaries also, I think, Prabhuji. I think
there's
Gopal Bhatt Goswami and two of our acharyas have given, and the commentaries are also so complex.
oh yeah, this the commentary is also the one complete Sanskrit commentary is Prakash Tika of Anantadev. So that is the commentary which helps you understand the crux of Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi. But anyway, yeah, please go ahead with your query.
Yes, yes. Prabhuji, my point was like in continuation with the Divyangi Mataji's point. So my original point was exactly this thing that today, in the discussion which you brought up, you took the topic of Harinam, and it was in the context of basically atonement.
Hmm.
So, but the statement itself is, as it says, it's about attaining Sadhya Mukti at that very point.
Yeah.
So, like many a times you've, at least I'm speaking about Mukti, not Bhakti in that sense. So, you always said this point that Jiva Goswami quotes this verse from, I think, Shastras, but the परिकरस्तेन.
Sakradvicharitam yena harirityaksharadvayam baddha parikarastena mokshaya gamanam tati. Yeah.
Yes, true. So should we apply this logic here also? Like,
You,
will it be a condition on Harinam?
if you apply it in every case, then it can be a condition. But if you say Harinam can immediately deliver somebody, but if it is not immediately delivering somebody, which means that the process has started. So if you don't make it an absolute consideration for each and every case, it can still be justified. So, but there is no statement in Shastra which says that you utter one Harinam and compulsorily at that very moment you will leave your body and attain mukti. There is no statement to be found like that in Shastra, because prarabdha, you will get mukti from your sanchit karma, previous karma. You may get, but prarabdha karma, what to do with prarabdha karma, that's a very different understanding altogether. So you may get rid of sanchit karma, previously accumulated karma, and what happens with prarabdha karma is a different discussion altogether. So prarabdha also can be destroyed by Harinam, but does it get destroyed by one Harinam? In some cases, yes. For example, Ajamil, by one Harinam, his prarabdha karma was also destroyed, and that is the reason why the Vishnu Dutas are stopping the Yamadutas. Stop, he doesn't have any adharma remaining. If he doesn't have any, so he is eligible for mukti. Yes, he is eligible because he has chanted Namabhas. But still Ajamil comes back because mukti itself is not sufficient. Then he practices bhakti for the remaining of his life, and after practicing bhakti, then he attains Bhagavan's favor, he attains Bhagavan's support. So that is what is mentioned in the Shastra.
It's true. And you just say the second thing also, always you give this explanation exactly that Harinam is like, it's like Bhagwan Sri Krishna himself. It has its own volition also.
Yeah,
So I think that was the second point you have raised many a times, like in some other presentations.
yeah. That is Purnaha Shuddho Nitya Mukto.
Nitya Mukto.
Nama Chinta Manihi Krishna. Nam is Krishna. Chaitanya, it has its own, living force. It is own living force. Rasa Vigraha. Purnaha, it is complete. Shuddho, it is pure. Nitya Mukto, it is eternally free. Abhinnatvan Nam, it is not different from Krishna. So the levels of freedom that Krishna has, Nam also has that level of freedom. So that is right there from the Shastra, actually. Right?
Yes. This point, that this Arthavad point, does it apply on
Should we go to the next
does it
person?
apply on other limbs of Bhakti also?
This is a new question, so let's leave time for other
Okay.
people.
Okay.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
we'll come back to you, Omkar Prabhu, but I'll
Yes,
keep that query in the mind.
yes, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Next we have Paramakrishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Then Pranam, Prabhuji.
Pranam.
So I just wanted a quick clarification on the previous answer you gave to the Mataji who was asking. And you said, did I understand correctly that you said that the chanting of Harinam to where you quoted 5 point, the muktim dadati, but na bhaktim by Yudhishthir Maharaj, his conversation. That by Harinam, one can get mukti, but not bhakti. And I think I just wanted to understand clearly what you mentioned to her, because in one of your previous classes, you said that Harinam can also give Krishna prem.
Yeah. No. Her question is about one utterance of Harinam. And so I said, all the statements that you find about Harinam that are giving you promises, are they giving you promises about freedom from karma, or are they giving you promises about attainment of eternal bhakti? What sort of statements do you find in Shastra? Please tell me.
So, honestly speaking, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhuji, again referring to the conversation between Shri Haridas Thakur and Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even Krishna Prema is promised, isn't it?
there is no promise. There is a
Or not
possibility.
promise. Possible, yes, can give. So yes.
Yeah. So,
So,
but
but that is true even for.
What are the promises given in relation to Harinam? That you tell me.
No promises are given, not even for removal of karma, Prabhuji. Again, if I understood you correctly, again, from all the previous discussions over the years, it is also
but what
possibility about.
Sure. But what are the certainties given most commonly in relation to Harinam? That it certainly can do this. What are the most common certainties
Okay,
given?
can do is removal of sins.
Yeah. So the most common.
But that's not a certainty. It's can do. I can give you $10,000, but I may not.
Of course, that is your will. But do you certainly have the power to give me $10,000?
Yes.
So that certainty is mentioned in respect to getting liberation from the material world, getting free of your karma.
But Bhagavan also has the capability to give. He can give prema.
That is Bhagavan. And Nam, when considered as a separate entity from Bhagavan, Nam cannot always pressurize Bhagavan into giving that prema. It is finally whose volition which gives prema.
Oh, so now I'm getting a little confused about when you are splitting this. Of course, I do understand there is a abhinnatvam aspect that you just quoted, nama chintamani yasya, abhinnatvam nama namino, and there is also a difference, and Shri Jiva Goswami comments on this, I think, in the I forget the Bhakti Sandarbha. But are you saying now there is the difference between Nam and Bhagavan?
Of course, there's a difference because Nam is Vachak and Bhagavan is Vachya. Nam is the indicator, Bhagavan is the indicated. Nam is uttered for pleasing Nam, or Nam is uttered for pleasing Bhagavan?
Bhagavan.
Of course. Therein lies the difference.
Yeah, so that's fine. So I do understand the difference aspect. All I was saying was some people kind of take that argument just complete, absolute, too far, that there is no difference. That is, but are you saying that the difference between who can give prema is the difference between Nam and Nami? Are you bringing that aspect out?
Yeah, the final volition of giving prema rests on Bhagavan. And whether if it would rest purely on Harinam, then Harinam without consulting Bhagavan can give Krishna prema. But if you look into the depths of the understanding of Harinam, only when Bhagavan is pleased with your utterance of Harinam does Bhagavan give you prema.
I see.
That is a fact.
But that statement is not exactly applicable to removal of sins. Harinam himself, Prabhu, can remove all sins. There is no need to invoke the mercy or power of Bhagavan. Is that what you're saying?
Harinam brings about presence of Bhagavan within the heart, which automatically destroys sins. There is no point. But Harinam can have effect over sins because sins are a material principle and they are forced to bow down in front of Harinam. But question is, can Harinam force Bhagavan to give his prema against his will? The answer is no.
Okay.
Because you can force karma to go away from a certain person's life, but you can't force Bhagavan to give his prema. Finally, Bhagavan has to agree, all right, I am agree that, I will give my prema to this and such individual. Then your utterance of Harinam becomes fully successful because Bhagavan has also agreed to give his prema. Therefore, but that statement in Bhagavatam therefore has meaning that one you will get mukti very easily, but bhakti you will not get easily. So what is mukti? Mukti means you get rid of your karma.
Right.
That happens very easily because getting rid of karma is based on a mechanical formula. But attainment of eternal service is not based on a mechanical formula. There is one person standing between you and that eternal service, that is Bhagavan.
Wait a minute. But you have also said so many times that Harinam is also Nama Prabhu. And when I got confused by your saying the mechanical formula aspect, because you've been saying all along that chanting Harinam and getting rid of all even aprarabdha karma is not guaranteed even by a single, or there's no time frame. Harinam gives, Nama Prabhu will give whenever he wants.
That is the volition of Nam. If Nam
Right.
wants, he can do that. He can carry out his full potency with one Harinam.
Sure.
If Nam doesn't want, he will not give freedom from karma even after millions of Harinam. All right.
Right.
Assuming best case, with one Nam, you got rid of all the karma. All right. But can you apply this logic to attainment of prema? With one Nam,
No.
because it's not only dependent on the desire of Nam, the desire of Bhagavan is also important in here. So there is double check before you get any sort of Krishna prema. So that is what I am comparing here. Right? That makes all the difference. So removal of sins is purely on the desire of Harinam. Attainment of prema is not only on the desire of Harinam but also desire of Bhagavan, because considering Bhagavan as a separate entity from Harinam. There is some difference between Bhagavan and Harinam. Harinam cannot give prema independent of the desire of Bhagavan, because ultimately prema is towards Bhagavan. Bhagavan has to agree. Otherwise, what is the point of forcing Bhagavan into a loving relationship? Bhagavan will never agree into a forced loving relationship. So Harinam can impel Bhagavan to give that. Harinam can make Bhagavan think deeply and seriously about giving prema. But the final judgment is dependent on Bhagavan himself. And in the case of karma, removal of karma is solely dependent on the desire of Shri Harinam. That is the difference. All right?
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Is there any where
Can we
that
come
you
back
can
to you,
provide?
Prabhuji? Sorry to interrupt. Can we come back to you?
Sure.
You seem disappointed, Prabhuji. Would you like to continue?
No, it's okay. We can come back to Prabhu.
Okay. There's a question in the chat about the apparently circular nature of becoming free from sin and chanting Harinam, because in this class you said that we chant Harinam, then we become free from sin, but in the Bhagavad Gita it says, only when one's sinful reactions are ended can a person engage in my service with full determination.
Sure. But Bhagavad Gita says when a person's sinful reactions are fully eliminated, only then can one engage with full determination. But before that also, when one hears from other sadhus, when in many lives, when one chants inattentively, when one hears from sadhus, that process begins already. And that gradual process begins through other sadhus. So how does bhakti arise? Because bhakti arises when other sadhus help us. So other sadhus have helped us by making us hear Harinam in previous lives, by telling us its glories. And so although we may not be able to execute seva of that level immediately, but Nam is gradually helping us get there. So the process has already begun. So that is the answer to the query.
Next we have Divyangi Lalita Mataji.
Krishna Prabhu, I had another question. This was about the atonements. I understand the atonements don't remove the tendency to commit further sinful activities, but do the atonements by themselves atone that sin or whatever, like within this lifetime or whatever that is? Because there is
Yeah,
also the statement that one karma cannot remove the effects of another karma.
right. One karma cannot fully remove another karma. You can remove one instance of a karma. For example, let's say somebody killed a Brahmana, and that is one negative karma, one very heavy negative karma committed. If you want to remove that one instance of that negative karma, you can perform atonement, prayaschitta. So one instance of that pap has been removed. But if you have committed similar such karma in previous lives, and you don't even know about it, that you have committed such, then how will you remove that? So you can't keep on performing unlimited atonements. So one atonement can remove one instance of a particular karma. But the ultimate atonement to remove all instances of all karma is either Gyan or Bhakti. Both of them can remove all instances of all karma. Knowledge of the impersonal Brahman can also remove. Knowledge of Bhagavan can also remove. Both are given in Shastra as ultimate atonements, because Brahman is also an aspect of Bhagavan. So knowledge of Brahman also removes sinful activities. Knowledge of Bhagavan also removes sinful activities. Therefore, Sri Shukdev Goswami said, Prayaschittam Vimarshanam. Actual prayaschit is knowledge of Bhagavan. Whether it is of Brahman aspect, Paramatma aspect, or Bhagavan aspect depends from practitioner to practitioner. But all these aspects, knowledge of those aspects can remove one's sinful reactions forever. So that is what can be said in this regard.
Thank you.
Next we have Omkar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Danat Pranam. Yes, Prabhu. My question was regarding this point that the Arthavad principle, can it be applied to the other limbs of bhakti also? Like there are other limbs of bhakti which prescribe material results, but for them Rupa Goswami has said that it is just a kind of enthusiasm kind of thing. But limbs which may promise you some kind of spiritual destination, or something like you will get a home in Vaikuntha if you build temples here, like some promises like that. So how should we see
See,
this?
when such results are promised in Shastra, such results are promised for spiritual activities. You build a temple here, you will get a home there. So building a temple here is not part of Karma Kand. Building a temple is actually part of bhakti. It is one of the limbs of bhakti. So what is being promised is bhakti in return for bhakti. That is what is being promised. Now, the promise doesn't say that in the immediate next life you will get. It doesn't say that. It will say you build a temple here and you will get a temple there. Now, in which life it will happen? It may happen in one life if you attain the stage of Uttama Bhakti. Even in that process of building the temple, if your prayaschita, if your atonement is complete and Bhagavan has entered your heart, you are building the temple, your remembrance of Bhagavan was so nice that your complete atonement of all karma is done. Very well, in that very life, you will see a home for yourself in Vaikuntha. There's no doubt about it. But if while performing the process of atonement, you're thinking, well, after I make this temple, I want to have a room for myself inside this temple so that till the time I live, I can have secure, comfortable living arrangements. And people should also know my name and people should glorify me. And then there is a desire. And see, as soon as there is a desire, there will be a need to accept another body. I hope you're able to, because as soon as there is a desire, there will be a need to accept another body. We cannot fulfill desires without accepting another body. So, Prayaschita, atonement, is not fully complete here. Although you are performing Bhakti Prayaschita, Bhakti atonement, it's not fully complete because there are mixed motivations still present. So, home is being made in Vaikuntha, but uh, you are not going to get immediate access after this birth. That is what can be said in this regard. All right. So, the
The
statements are
logic
not.
of Baddha Parikar, that can
Yeah.
be applied here also.
Yeah, it can be applied here. That's that logic of getting something after some delay, but it is still the work is in progress. That logic applies here.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Prabhu. Dhanapram.
Next we have Bhakti Pravina Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, my pranams. Thank you for answering to my first doubt, and it also eradicated my second doubt. My next question is something else, which is why did Srila Rupa Goswami write about Sri Lakshmidhara in plural case in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu?
Why write about Shri Lakshmidhar in plural case in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Plural case is used to denote adar or respect. In Sanskrit grammar, the convention is that when you use plural case, Ādarārthe bahuvachanam means for denoting respect. You can show plural case. And this, if you want to study in detail, this is given in the sutra Asmado Dvayoscha. In Ashtadhyayi, Panini's Ashtadhyayi, there is a sutra 1-59. I am showing the sutra Asmado Dvayoscha. And English translation I am showing. The plural of the pronoun asmad, I, is used optionally, although the sense requires a singular or dual number. Thus, I speak or we speak, both cases. So, in case of singular, sometimes plural is used. So similarly, it says the word guru, master, may have plural form, although referring to one person. So you are my master, or you in the plural sense are my master. So in the commentators to this verse have specified that ādarārthe bahuvachanam. You can use bahuvachan, you can use plural case also to denote other, also to denote respect for the Gurujanas or for some very worshipable person. So for this, this sutra is the origin of that particular understanding. So it comes from Ashtadhyayi of Panini. Asmado Dvayoscha is the sutra from which one knows that ādarārthe bahuvachanam, that plural case is used to denote respect for a particular individual. So I hope that answers your query.
Right, thank you very much.
Next we have Yadupati Hari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, pranams. Thank you very much. A wonderful class. So Prabhuji, my doubt is when you mention this point that Harinam, the results of chanting Harinam does not depend even on having faith. So I'm little confused because you also previously explained when explaining Jiva Goswami's these 4 offenses, like one of them is Ashraddha. Like you told that nowadays we are not seeing the results of chanting Harinam because of Ashraddha. So can you please once explain this, Prabhu?
See, one of the 10 aparadhs is ashraddhadhane pi vimukhe ashrinvati yascha upadeshah. What is the meaning? If you instruct a faithless person, then you as the instructor will get an aparadh. That is the meaning of that statement. A person who does not have so much faith in Harinam, if without faith also he utters Harinam, that person may still benefit. The Harinam may still have effect on that particular person. But if by your instructing them they are not listening and you continue to instruct them, chant Harinam, chant Harinam, chant Harinam, then it will become an offense for the person who is instructing others. Because already they are faithless, and by forcing them you are increasing their faithlessness and their unfavorability towards Harinam. If they are uttering it themselves, they may not have so much faith. They may have very little faith. So that is, the Harinam can still have an effect on them in the form of removal of sins. But if you force somebody, then it becomes an aparadh in your case. So that aparadh is about not forcing other people, especially those who don't have much faith. Not only do they not have much faith, but they are vimukha, they are clearly turned away. Ashrinavati, and not willing to listen. 3 levels of faithlessness are mentioned there. Don't have much Shraddha. They are, not only do they not have Shraddha, they are clearly disinclined, they are turning away, and they are not even willing to listen to good instruction. Those people are the ones who should not be instructed. That will become an aparadh for you. In case of Ajamil, Ajamil was not chanting Harinam with Shraddha in Bhagavan. Ajamil was chanting Harinam by indicating his son. So the verse says Ajamil Shraddha while chanting Harinam was not invested in Bhagavan. Ajamil Shraddha was invested in his son. What to speak of a person who chants Harinam with Shraddha? What to speak of? That verse is for Kaimutya Nyaya. What to speak of that person who chants with Shraddha? Okay, so Ajamil was not an atheist. Ajamil was a theist. But Ajamil was not indicating his son when he was chanting Harinam. Ajamil had Shraddha that the Vedas are true, everything is true. That's all right. He had that Shraddha. But he was not chanting with that particular Shraddha. He was chanting by just for indicating his son. And therefore, Shastra says, Ajamil's case is covered in this particular verse. Sanketyam parihasyam va stobham helanam eva va vaikuntha nama grahanam asheshagha haram viduhu. It is covered in this particular verse. One who chants Bhagavan's name is immediately freed from reactions of unlimited sin, even if he chants indirectly to indicate somebody else. So that is Ajamil's case. Jokingly, musical entertainment, or neglectfully. But this is Ajamil's case. Ajamil was not an atheist who said, I don't believe in Harinam. Of course, he believed in Harinam, therefore he named his son Narayan. He believed in Harinam. But in that instance, when he was chanting, his Shraddha, his faith was not on indicating Narayan as Bhagavan. His Shraddha was on indicating Narayan as his son. So he was chanting Namabhas. That is what is being said. It is not being said there that Harinam, that Ajamil was an atheist who did not believe in the power of Harinam. That's all. I hope that answers your question.
Next we have Bhavya Bhagavan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Brother. Thank you so much for answering my question and giving me another opportunity to ask. Brother, my question is, you just mentioned few questions back that the holy name can impel the Lord to give his frame. But the Lord also has a separate personality, and it depends on the Lord's supreme will also. So my question is, then how do we understand this thing though when it is said Abhinatva Nama Namino? Because if the holy name's will is to give somebody prema and Abhinatva Nama Namino, and there is no difference between the holy name and who it is denoted to, then if the holy name's intent will is to give, then it should be the Lord's will as well.
So, when we speak about differences between two personalities, differences between individuals, in Shastra, differences are categorized three types. Vijatiya bhed, Swajatiya bhed, Swagat bhed. Three types of differences are there. I will type them out so that you can know the exact terminology. First is known as Vijatiya bhed. Second is known as Sajatiya bhed. And third is known as Swagata bhed. There are three types of bheda or differences. Vijatiya bhed means difference between two entities who are completely different to each other. For example, difference between a tree and a rock. Tree is belonging to completely different jati, rock is belonging to a completely different jati. This is called as Vijatiya bhed. Sajatiya bhed is difference between the same jati. For example, difference between one tree and another tree. So this is called as Sajatiya bhed. And Swagata bhed is difference in the same entity. For example, difference in the leaf and the branch of the same tree. Isn't it? So these are three categories of bhed. Vijatiya bhed, Sajatiya bhed, Swagata bhed. These three categories of bhed are mentioned in Shastra. Now, is the difference between Hari and Harinam Vijatiya bhed? Is Hari completely different from Harinam? Answer is no. That is not the difference between Hari and Harinam. Is the difference between Hari and Harinam Sajatiya bhed? Is like Hari and Harinam are of the same jati? No, they are actually the same person, actually speaking. But within the same person also, there can be some differences. So that is called Swagata bhed. There are some differences between the same person. So for example, one Vishnu form and another Vishnu form. Both are Vishnu forms. But just because one Vishnu form agrees for something doesn't mean that another Vishnu form has to agree for the same thing. Bhagavan Narasimhadev may not agree to forgive Hiranyakashipu, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may agree to forgive Hiranyakashipu. I hope you are able to understand. But Narasimhadev is not different from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agrees to forgive Hiranyakashipu, then Narasimhadev must also agree to forgive Hiranyakashipu. Isn't it so? So please tell me, isn't there a bhed even in Sajati? Even though both are Vishnu forms, but there is bhed between
Yes,
both of them. Isn't it? So Harinam is also having a separate personality, although it is many ways it is different. It is not different from Bhagavan. It is also having a separate personality of its own. So somebody may say Harinam is Harina. The difference between Harinam and Hari is Sajati Abhed. Both belong to the same jati. And somebody may say it is Swagat Abhed. Both are the same person, but within the same person there are some differences. Right? So like that also sometimes it happens. One fine day your mind is thinking, I want to eat ice cream. Next day your mind is, no, I don't want to eat ice cream. Arey, yesterday you were saying I want to eat ice cream. Today you say I don't want to eat. What is happening? Which bhed is this? Vijatiya bhed, Swajatiya bhed or Swagat bhed? Which bhed is this? Bolo?
Sajatiya.
No, Sajatiya, no. You are not of your saying, you are Swagat. It is within you.
Yeah.
Difference is within
Swagat,
your
sorry.
Swagat bhed.
Sorry. Yeah.
Bolo?
Third one.
Yes.
Third one. Yeah.
One day your mind is saying something, another day your mind is saying something else. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So one person's mind is, one person who has a paralysis in his right hand, his mind is saying, I want to lift my right hand. His body is not agreeing to his mind. Arey, my body is not working according to my mind. Which bhed? Swagat bhed. So sometimes there are instances of such different, whether you consider Hari and Harinam to have Sajatiya bhed or Swagat bhed, bhed is there. And therefore, one personality may not always behave like the other personality. It's very simple. And I gave the example also of Narasimhadev and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Narasimhadev may disagree, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agrees. Bhagavan Ram and Parshuram came face to face in the wedding of Bhagavan Ram. So Bhagavan Parshuram is saying, who broke the bow of Bhagavan Shiva?
Yeah.
So both are Bhagavan's forms, but they are having differences of opinion. I hope that answers your query. Okay.
I have a one follow-up question to this, small.
Okay. You can ask.
So when it is said that the holy name is more merciful than the Lord itself, then this more mercy is attributed to what factor then?
So that when it is said it is more merciful than Bhagavan, it is mainly attributed to two factors. First factor is, Sri Rupa Goswami himself has said, if you commit an aparadha towards Bhagavan, Bhagavan's naam may help you to get rid of that aparadha. So that is the mercy of Bhagavan's naam. And the second merciful aspect is, especially in ages like Kali Yuga, when Bhagavan is not directly perceivably present in front of us, Harinam has still appeared in Kali Yuga for those of us who don't have direct access to Bhagavan. So that is the greater mercy of Shri Harinam. If you ask Shri Hari Suri, there is another third aspect why Harinam is greater than Hari. When Krishna killed Putana, all the gopis got around him and they put tilak on 12 parts of Krishna's body for Krishna's protection. While they were putting tilak on 12 parts of Krishna's body, they were chanting Keshvaya Namah, Govindaya Namah. So they said this proves that Bhagavan's naam is greater than Bhagavan, because even when it comes to Bhagavan's own protection, Bhagavan's naam is used. So tell us, who is greater, Bhagavan or Bhagavan's naam?
Thank you so much for it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next we have Bhakti Pravina Mataji.
Yes. Hare Krishna Prabhu. This was a wonderful discussion, and we also saw a tiny scan of Bhagavan Nama Kaumudi. And in the meantime, because there was so much clarification of this work, of this work of Shri Lakshmipati. I was looking it up, and it seems like you have uploaded it.
Lakshmidhar. Yeah, I have uploaded original Sanskrit.
Yes.
I have uploaded to my archive account, and Bhagwan Naam Kaumudi with the Prakash Tika of Anant Dev.
Jai. So I was wondering if this is the same one that you have shown in the presentation, because the one in the presentation was kind of yellowish, and the one on your
I have multiple scans of the same book, because I keep multiple scans of the same book, because in some scanned editions, if even a single line is not scanned properly, you can take help of another edition. So that is the reason for maintaining multiple scans of the same book, because some scans may have some pages missing, something like that. I want to, that was the query?
Yes, that was the query, and I would also like to say that Hariparsha Prabhu has uploaded more than 450 documents on his archive.org account.
That's just a little bit of seva for the previous acharyas, because they have done so much for our benefit. But thank you so much. There was a private message where I was told by Sakhi Sharan Prabhu, the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu I mentioned. I said Shikhi Maiti. It's not Shikhi Maiti, it's Subudhi Rai. I'm sorry. So it's the pastime was with Subudhi Rai. Subudhi Rai was the person who was asked to drink boiling ghee, not Shikhi Maiti, some similarity of names. So I might have confused one for another. It is actually Subudhi Rai, who was the person whom Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked to do Bhakti Prayaschitta. Thank you so much. Yes. Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, please continue.
Yes. We just have one last clarification question to clarify the answer you gave earlier. It says the utterance of Harinam can remove material sins, but attaining prema is only by loving service and by the Lord's desire. Is this the correct understanding, Prabhu?
Yeah, utterance of Harinam can remove material sins. And anyway, sins are material. There is no spiritual sin. Sins or piety are material in nature. Harinam can remove all material reactions, positive or negative. But attainment of Krishna Prema is something which is supra-material. So that is something which requires the will of Bhagwan and the mercy of Bhagwan. So that cannot be boiled down into a formula. That is the answer.
We got a question from Paramakarna Prabhu.
Oh, wonderful. Sure.
So, Prabhuji, again, so in this case, the Harinam is less powerful in that sense from Bhagavan. In other cases, it is more, like you gave the example of Putana and the explanation of how Harinam protects Bhagavan. So in different angles, is the right understanding? In different angles or different things, Harinam may be more powerful than Bhagavan or more potent or capable. And in others, Sri Bhagavan is more potent than Sri Harinam.
See, Bhagwan and Harinam are in many ways non-different. There is no doubt about it. Now we are comparing when we are comparing Bhagavan and Shri Harinam, we have to understand one thing. Can Harinam give us Krishna Prem? Does it have the power to give us Krishna Prem? Yes, but validation from Bhagavan is needed. That is the only thing we are saying. Validation from Bhagavan is not that Harinam cannot give Krishna Prem. It can give Krishna Prem, but validation from Bhagavan is needed. Approval from Bhagavan is needed before a jiva receives that Krishna Prem. Till that time, Nam can give all other effects, including moksha. So this is the comparison that you can do. It does not show anything that Harinam is less potent or something like that. In fact, Harinam is more
But it
potent.
is.
How? Because
I'm not understanding then validation. It's
please,
like I can sanction a loan, but for a certain, I don't know, I'm making a material example, maybe not the best one. But the chief manager has to sanction it or validate it or approve it. How do I, if you can?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Did Bhagavan come personally in your life to give you Harinam?
Not at all.
No, then Bhagavan is less powerful than Harinam, isn't it?
No.
So then,
I am not qualified that Bhagavan should come.
Wonderful. But
And
Bhagavan,
devotees can give Harinam to me.
yes, wonderful. So the comparison is not between devotees and Harinam. The comparison is strictly between Bhagavan and Harinam. So we'll not bring a third party in the comparison.
Right.
Yeah. So, did Harinam bring you to Bhagavan or did Bhagavan bring you to Harinam?
Harinam will hopefully bring me to Bhagavan one day.
Okay. So, who is the person in this case who turns out to be more merciful, or in your words, more powerful?
I know you want me to say Harinam.
No, I don't want. I want you to say logic. I don't want you to say anything that
A gatekeeper can bring somebody to the master. Doesn't mean he's more powerful than the master because he has the capacity to bring him to the master. I'm just offering a counter argument. I'm not.
We are not saying.
I really want to understand it to the last level, and to that, in that spirit, I'm just arguing, or sort of say, respectfully arguing.
Yeah. In many ways, a servant is more powerful than the master. Believe it or not. In many ways, a servant has more power than the master. And there are many examples by which we can understand this. For example, before the master arrives in the home, the servant arrives before him, cleans the home and goes away. Servant has keys for the home. So who arrives first in the home, Prabhu? Master or servant?
Servant.
Servant. In that way, although he is a servant, he has more dominion than the master.
Sure.
I hope you're able to understand. I'll give you another example. Sometimes a barber, a brahmana is supposed to keep his hand on everybody's head and give ashirvad, give benediction, isn't it? But somebody who cuts hair, a barber, he keeps his hand even on the head of a brahmana, isn't it?
Yes.
Although he acts as a servant, he ultimately keeps his hand on the heads of a brahmana and holds his head and says, "Now I'll cut your hair." So please tell me, doesn't the barber have dominion even over the head of a brahmana?
Yes, as permitted by the brahmana.
Not as permitted. It's not the brahmana. It is his duty. It is his constitutional duty. He is supposed.
Sure.
So similarly, the domain of a servant is such that sometimes the servant gains some access which the master also doesn't have. In that way, the servant supersedes the master without losing his or her servitude. Isn't it? In Shri Radha, is she a servant of Bhagavan or is she the master of Bhagavan?
She's servant, or she serves Bhagavan, but she is the master of Bhagavan as well.
So now you apply the same logic to Harinam. Constitutionally, she is Shakti, she is servant of Bhagavan, isn't it? Constitution. But when it comes to practical day-to-day dealing, she may even slap Bhagavan. That is mentioned in Shastra. That is mentioned. So, who has dominion over whom? We think from a plain master-slave point of view, the master is superior and the slave is inferior. Slave is a wrong word, but in computer language, it's called master-slave. So, but from master-servant point of view, we think that the master is always superior. That is wrong. The servant has to become superior in many ways in order to render the seva.
So coming back, Prabhuji, to the original point, the question I was asking. Also, Bhagavan, Bhagavan can also remove all sins and piety. Yes, it doesn't have to be Harinam. Even Bhagavan can do it. Correct?
Of course, Bhagavan can also do that.
Yes, and Bhagavan only, you're saying, by only his approval can one give Harinam. The Shri Bhagavan can give approval to Shri Harinam to give Krishna Prem.
Yeah.
Correct? Am I repeating accurately what you said?
Yes. In previous ages, just in previous ages, when Harinam was not the process, Smaran was the process. Kriteya dhyayato Vishnu. In Treta, Yagya was the process. In Dwapar, Archanam was the process. Finally, perfection is given by whose will?
Kalauta-dhari kirtan.
No, not Kalo. Finally, in all these ages,
Yes,
who was the final person sanctioning the perfection of the individual?
Bhagavan.
Bhagavan. So when Bhagavan was sanctioning perfection in Satya Yuga, Bhagavan was sanctioning perfection in Treta Yuga through Yagya, Bhagavan was sanctioning perfection through Archanam in Dwapar Yuga, who will sanction perfection in Kali Yuga? Logically, Bhagavan.
It is Bhagavan.
Yes.
But you also said that Shri Harinam can remove sins independently of the approval of Bhagavan. That was the difference you were trying to bring out in the previous discussions.
In the Paramatma Sandarbha, it's very clearly mentioned Bhagavan does not get into the sin and piety of this world.
Correct.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Bhagavan doesn't personally get into the sin and piety. Generally, he doesn't get into it. Isn't it? So Bhagavan will not directly interfere with somebody's sin and piety. Harinam does that independently. Harinam has that much independence. It is allowed to interfere with somebody's sin and piety because it is different from Bhagavan. And because it is different from Bhagavan, so the allegation of messing with somebody's sin and piety does not come upon the personality of Bhagavan. Do you see the beauty of it? Harinam is
Okay.
Harinam reaches where Bhagavan doesn't usually reach. Not that he cannot reach, but where Bhagavan doesn't usually want to reach. Because if Bhagavan starts messing with somebody's sin and piety, then Vedant will say, hey, we were defending your reputation and you're spoiling your own reputation by messing with people's karma. Bhagavan doesn't do. Bhagavan is just samoham sarva. I am equal to everybody. Nobody is. That is Bhagavan. Harinam is not like that. I am equal. Harinam, I am not equal to everybody. I am unequal. That is Harinam. So Harinam is Bhagavan's unequally disposed manifestation. You can say that, right?
Yeah, I think I really got the answer somewhere in what you said, but I'm extremely clear now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Thank you for this very enlightening discussion. It's not something one specific concept or one specific argument, but the whole conversation suddenly seems to clarify it in a very crystal clear way.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I'm immensely grateful to your sharing of this deep knowledge that you have. You
Thank you.
have the knowledge that itself is very rare, and you take the time to share it with patience with all of us. That's even rarer. Rarity squared.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dhāmeśvara Prabhu, there is somebody waiting.
Yeah, next we have Nritya Gauranga Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavats Pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you very much again for the wonderful class. I would like to second with Parama Karuna Prabhu. It's amazing. Even I was having this question about how can the Harinam, one Harinam, even though without devotion can remove all the sins. And today you made it very clear. Very thankful to you.
It is the brilliance of Shri Lakshmidhar. And see, I told you, I many times I said I'm a shoe shiner. The brilliance of the previous acharyas is unmatched. They can prove anything. I mean, literally, they can prove anything. And whatever helps me in my bhajan, because this literature, Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi, has been a literature of immense importance in my bhajan. I cannot imagine myself. I was a different person before this literature and after this literature. That's what I can say. That's what I'm a different person before this literature and after this literature. That is the value of this literature in my personal life. And I have studied it cover to cover and seen the arguments that are given in it. But as it was specified in one of the questions by Omkar Prabhu, it was a very terse, difficult to read literature because I'm fortunate that there is a commentary upon it. Otherwise, on my own, I would have struggled for days in this particular literature. The author is a mega genius, and it's so nice that out of all the topics he chose Harinam, and in Harinam he chose Arthavad, which is like one of the main hindrances for people like me who are afflicted with bad intelligence. So this literature gives immense clarity. Yes,
Then
please
we
go
will
ahead.
look forward for you. We will look forward for your seminar again on this Bhagavad Dhamma Kaumudi.
Oh, no, no. For
You,
Bhagwan
you
Nam
have, you
Kaumudi,
have you have generated a taste for us. So now you
no,
cannot say that
no, for Bhagwan
you
Nam,
you generated ruchi. Now it is developing into asakti.
no, Bhagwan Nam
Yeah.
Kaumudi requires us to know so many principles of Mimamsa, and which I'll have to first explain, and then only we can understand the literature. Because that he will say the Vidhi Vakyas, what is, then I have to explain what is Vidhi Vakya. The Vidhi Vakyas are explained using which suffixes of Sanskrit grammar. All those he takes great details there, which devoid of understanding of grammar and all those things, it becomes very difficult to explain. So he asks, for example, he asks a question: is Harinam mentioned as a vidhi, as an injunction somewhere in Shastra? It said Harinam removes all sins, Harinam does this, Harinam does that. No, we want a vidhi. You must chant Harinam. You must chant. Is it mentioned anywhere in Shastra like that? So then he takes up the question: how are vidhis defined? Vidhis are defined by suffixes such as tavyat, tavyat, aniyar. There is a sutra in Panini's grammar, tavyat, 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 aniyar. So I'll specify this sutra because I'm just giving a small glimpse into what will come if we take the entire Bhagwan Nam Kaumudi. This is tavyat, tavyat, aniyar. So these are suffixes which specify that one must perform a certain thing. So the affixes tavyat, tavya, and aniyar come after verbal roots. And then, for example, kṛpā, kartavya, must be done. This is what is vidhi, must be done. Kartavya. So you should find a suffix tavya for Harinam. Where do you find a suffix tavya for Harinam? If you can find such a suffix for Harinam, then you can prove that Harinam is also mentioned as a vidhi, as a compulsory injunction. So Shri Lakshmidhar was read the Bhagavatam so nicely. He says, look in the Bhagavatam 1-14. Tasmad ekena manasa bhagavan satvatam prati shrotavya kirtitavya. You can say kirtitavya. Tavya is the suffix here. Tavya suffix is used for compulsory injection. Kirtan and tavya suffix. So from grammar point of view, he shows that. You can see the translation. One should, actually it is should, but actually it should be one must constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. So tavyat suffix is used for must. So that all those things will come up in Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi. That's a very detailed discussion, and I perhaps if I start explaining this, half the people will go to sleep because it's Sanskrit grammar, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
So Prabhu, I have a follow-up question on Paramakuran Prabhu's question.
sure.
So as you said that
Can we come
Nama
back to you?
has the capacity to give.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Prabhuji. Can we come back to you and we'll have Bhakti and Pravina Mataji?
I didn't ask the question at all.
Okay. Okay.
No, it's the second question. We just do one at a time. We've had a lot of extended dialogues today, but we just do one question at a time.
Okay.
It's in
So
the rule at the beginning.
okay. So what we can do is we can go quickly to Param Karuna to Bhakti Pravina Devi and come back to you. Can you wait for some time,
Sure,
Nitya
Prabhu.
Gaura?
Yeah,
Okay. Sure.
sure, Prabhu.
Okay.
If it
Go
would go
ahead,
after
Bhakti.
me, I would also let Nritya Gauranga Prabhu go first, but I also respect
Please
the
go ahead.
decision. Excuse me, Prabhu?
Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, Prabhu. So there is there is also one thought among also senior devotees that we know, that we associate with, that we actually, they also learn a little Sanskrit, that's okay, but even then they say, actually Sanskrit is not necessary for bhakti. And but in here, for example, we see like, for example, I have still so many subconscious and conscious doubts about Harinam. And so I just have this understanding now that if I don't learn Sanskrit and if I don't learn some principles of Mimamsa and so on, then how will I ever understand Bhagavan Nama Kaumudi and other scriptures that explain everything to me very logically, because I want to stop being a blind follower, just accept what is written, but understand actually with my intelligence. So, but on the other hand, there are devotees who say maybe they have this thinking that maybe it will come through some other ways, some other realization. So some kind of, I don't know
Yeah.
how it
So,
will come, but yeah.
Shrijiv Goswami says in Bhakti Sandarbha that the devotees can be categorized into two: Vichar Pradhan and Ruchi Pradhan. Vichar Pradhan is somebody who is Pradhan. His main consideration is Vichar, logical understanding. And Ruchi Pradhan is those who are driven by taste acquired from some sadhu sangha, from previous lives, or so on and so forth. One can be Ruchi Pradhan, one can be Vichar Pradhan. He does not trivialize any devotee. We have to decide for ourselves how far is how far are we willing to go in our quest for understanding bhakti. Understanding Mimamsa separate from bhakti is not going to help us, neither is it tasteful for a devotee. And understanding grammar, why should we understand grammar? Finally, after understanding grammar, what is my purpose? Is my purpose to just show that I am a very learned person, or is my purpose that it will help me in some aspects of bhakti? So it depends purely on the individual, because one person's quest for knowledge is different, another person's quest for devotional knowledge is different. Somebody may be satisfied simply by hearing one's guru that Shrotavyah Kirtitavya, Bhagwan's name must be chanted. They don't need to understand that there is tavyat suffix and that tavyat suffix is found in that verse of the Bhagavatam, and then they heard from the Guru that you must chant Bhagwan's name. And if I even ask this question, where is an injunction to chant Bhagwan's name? They will say, what a nonsensical question. Why do you need an injunction to chant Bhagavan? The Gurus and Shastra have told you should chant Bhagwan's name. For them, it's a nonsensical question. I understand. You see, one man's medicine is another man's poison. That is what it is. For them, it's a nonsensical question. But for me, that question may be pinching me. Where is Harinam mentioned as a vidhi? Because vidhi is given in specific, lit lakar, lot lakar. Vidhi is given in lot lakar, ling lakar. These are the specific suffixes in Sanskrit grammar. So, karotu, bhavatu, or if you are other suffixes such as tavyat, aniyar, like the sutra I showed, they are used for denoting vidhi. But those who studied in detail, their doubts are solved to such a degree that when they execute their practice of bhakti, there is no doubt remaining. They execute with firm faith. So you can say to such individuals that, at least I say this, I am more afflicted by the knots of doubts, so I need greater assistance in my execution of bhakti, and therefore you see my handicap, and therefore I should be allowed to get rid of that handicap. This handicap you may not have, because you have, direct faith in the words of what the Guru Janas have said. Wonderful. But I am such a person that I also need confirmation from Shastra, although Guru teaches Shastra. But sometimes Guru may not highlight that portion of the Shastra which some other Acharya has highlighted. So, right. We learn from 100 different sources. And at least my personal approach is like this, that the greater amount of clarity you have about the subject matter, the greater conviction you have in the process. It is very natural. It is very natural. And therefore, somebody says, oh, you don't learn this, you don't learn that. Well, how can you dictate to somebody else? Sanskrit grammar is not compulsory. Acha, if Sanskrit grammar is not compulsory, then explain to me the first verse of the Bhagavatam without touching Sanskrit grammar. Explain to me the first verse of the Bhagavatam without touching Sanskrit grammar. Which is the term for the first verse of the Bhagavatam says that Bhagavan expanded Vedic knowledge in Brahma's heart. Which is the term for expanded? Can ask a very simple question. Which is the term for expanded? I asked one because most people will be put to test when they are asked to explain the first verse of the Bhagavatam. All right, you learned Bhagavatam, explain the first. Let's put you through a test. Let's explain the first verse of the Bhagavatam. Oh, acha. What is the Sanskrit term for expanded in the first verse of the Bhagavatam? Many times I asked this question, not to show somebody down, but because they were showing Sanskrit grammar down. They were trivializing Sanskrit grammar. So such people need to be put through a test. Let's test how much you have realized through the mercy of whatever you are claiming. Let's put you through a test. What is the... Well, then they start shifting goalposts. Mercy is not like that. Mercy is something vague. So mercy is some glow of light which comes from the sky and enters your heart. That is what mercy is for them. So then they change goalposts. Well, Gurus have said you should study Shastra, you should study branches of knowledge which help you study Shastra. And if you don't want to study in greater level of detail, you can be satisfied with any level of detail which makes you progress on the path effortlessly. That's all. That is why we are studying Shastra. Our study of Shastra is so that our journey on the path can be effortless. A study of Shastra is not to show somebody else down or not to trivialize anybody or to show that, oh, you see, I knew this thing which you did not know. No. My study is, I know this thing which I previously did not know. That is why I am speaking. I am explaining today because I previously did not know. I have realized it. So I wish to share with others. That is my study of Shastra. It's not that, oh, today I'm speaking here something from Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi, which all of you did not know. No, that is not the approach which I'm. This is something which I did not know previously. This is something which helped me clear my own ignorance. And I feel it will be helpful for some of you. Therefore, I am sharing with all of you. That is the spirit in which Shastra is studied. Not for competition, not for comparing to anybody. Because a jiva always has limited knowledge. Even after studying everything, they will not be omniscient. So there is no point of superiority or inferiority here. A person should determine according to their vasana, according to their tendencies, how much they wish to explore bhakti. Sri Rupa Goswami has said, bhakti, limbs of bhakti should be carried out according to one's vasana, according to one's inclination. So that is what Sri Rupa Goswami has said. Coming back very shortly, I'll end this answer. The first verse of the Bhagavatam says that tene Brahma. Tene is the term which is used for expanded. Tene is past tense. Tan dhatu. So tan dhatu, tantu vistare is used for expansion. The tan is tantu vistare is for expansion. Tene, from the term tan comes tantra. From the verbal root tan comes tantra, expansion of knowledge, expansion of literature. So that first verse has tene. That tene is the term for expansion. And many times people say Brahma, tene Brahma. Many times people mistake that Brahma for Lord Brahma. But Brahma means Vedas. Tene Brahma, he expanded the Brahma, he expanded Vedas. Unto whom Adi Kavaye, unto the original poet Brahma. So the term for Brahma there in the first verse is Adi Kavi. So when you learn from so many angles, then you understand what is what. Therefore, it's very important to learn Pada, Vakya, Pramana, to learn grammar, Mimamsa and Nyaya, so that one understands Shastra without doubt. But that is Vichar Pradhan. Ruchi Pradhan does not need to do all of this. Every person should have their own formula, not try to dictate somebody else. That is how Bhakti works, especially in a big society of devotees. I hope that answers your query.
Thank you.
All right. Nritya Gaurang Prabhu.
Wow, that was such a wonderful and elaborate explanation. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for that question, for answering that question. Yeah. And my question is following on Paramakaruna Prabhu's question. As you mentioned that Nama has the capacity to give the prema, but then ultimate authority lies in the hands of the Bhagavan to sanction it. And while explaining this, you also said that, like, give the example of Radharani and Krishna. Supposingly, if Radharani wants to give mercy to somebody and puts the petition to Krishna, obviously Krishna, is there any pastime, was there any instance where Krishna didn't agree for it? That my understanding is there is no question, he automatically approves. So similarly, if a Nama proposes saying to give the prema to a devotee, is there any instance where Bhagavan rejects it or says no, it's not ready yet for it, he has to wait some time?
Okay.
Is
See,
that is
Shastra does not describe Nam coming as a person in front of Bhagavan and petitioning Bhagavan. It is always the
Mhm,
Shakti that petitions Bhagavan. So
mhm,
actually, what you have spoken is, actually, Nam is also basically, Nam is Shabda Brahma. Nam is non-different from Bhagavan. But Nam petitions also the Shakti, not only Bhagavan. Hare Krishna. In Hare Krishna,
mhm.
Hare is petitioning whom?
Radharani.
Yeah, of
Correct.
course. So
Yeah.
Nam is not only
Yeah.
used to petition Bhagavan, Nam is also used to petition Shakti. Right.
Mm.
So Nam can also be used to petition Shakti, and Shakti in turn can petition Bhagavan. Now, Bhagavan usually doesn't say no to his Shakti, right? Usually doesn't say no. Huh? Bhagavan theoretically can say no, but Bhagavan
Mhm,
usually doesn't say no. Theoretically, Bhagavan doesn't lose his independence. Otherwise, he'll lose his status of being Bhagavan. So, can theoretically Bhagavan say no? Yes, he can theoretically he can say no. Does Bhagavan actually say no? Never. There's not
mhm.
been a single instance of Bhagavan saying no when his Shakti is being petitioned. But Shakti is also petitioned by Nam. I hope you're able to
Mm.
understand.
Yes.
Nam
Yes, Prabhu.
petitions Shakti, and Shakti is the one who petitions Bhagavan. But Nam's petition may or may not be accepted by Shakti. But Shakti's
Mm.
petition is usually accepted, mostly always accepted by Bhagavan, isn't it? So
Okay.
that's how it works.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Next we have Abhishek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. A
Thank
very
you.
small question is that, like, as a neophyte devotee, what should one think when chanting the Maha Mantra? Like, you said that I heard many times we should have some attachment. We should have some attachment when chanting the Harinam. So, can you please explain on that? Thank you.
As a new devotee, for a new devotee, immediate advancement is not mentioned in Shastra. In most cases, immediate advancement is not mentioned. The Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Krame krame teha bhakta haibe uttam. Krame krame, gradually, by and by, this devotee will improve. So, for the new devotee, Shastra says, Utsahat, Nishchayat, Dhairyat. Have enthusiasm, determination, patience. So, that is what the new devotee is supposed to do. Initially, they may have some material desires. Initially, they may not be able to chant properly. Initially, they may not have a guru. But some enthusiasm, determination, patience is needed. Once the proper guru arrives in the life of the new devotee, the devotee's life is set in the sense that proper guidance will be given to the devotee henceforth. Now that the devotee will have proper guidance, at least they can be ensured that they will not go in the incorrect direction. Now that they will not go in the incorrect direction, then they can ask their guru, how should I chant Harinam? The guru will give them the basics of chanting Harinam, because the 10 aparats, affection towards Bhagavan, are supposed to be explained by the guru to the disciple. Why you should not have 10 aparats, why you should chant with affection, how do you chant with affection, what feeling should be cultivated in the heart while chanting Harinam. So that feeling is of chanting Harinam is very individual feeling, very, very individual feeling. You can't give a generic feel because love is a very individual. Love is not a mass scale phenomenon. Love is an individual phenomenon. It's not that thousands of people get together and fall in love with thousands of other people. That's not how love works. One person falls in love with one person. That's how love works. So that is going to be a very individual journey. So initially you will have to follow Harinam as a vidhi because Shastra says. Where does Shastra say? Shrotavyah, kirtitavyah. I should kirtitavyah, tavyat suffix. So Shastra says you must perform kirtan. Must perform means it is a vidhi from Shastra. So Vedasya kriyarthatvat. Veda will always give some vidhi. Do this, do that. So when Veda says chant Harinam, you chant because Shastra says. That is Vedic Bhakti. That is for the new devotee. And when the Guru comes in the life, then the devotee can have Vaidhi Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti or a mixture of Vaidhi and Raganuga depending on the qualification of the disciple and how the Guru guides the disciple. But for the time being, the devotee should follow, for the new devotee should follow Harinam simply as a Vidhi in most cases. Because that is how Harinam comes in the life of most new devotees. So as a Vidhi, try to understand the 10 aparats and try to be sincere. And immediately without Diksha, one cannot have a specific bhav, specific mood towards Harinam or towards Bhagavan. So wait patiently for that mood to be revealed by the Gurujanas. That's all that can be said, right?
One small follow-up question, Prabhu. If I can ask, I can. I mean,
Sure, why
one
not?
very
Sure, why
yeah.
not?
So in this, like for example, let's say I've been initiated, like it's been like more than 10 years. But
You're initiated.
yes,
Oh, then why did you ask about a new devotee? You're
like
initiated.
yeah, like I didn't know all these things, Prabhu, to be
Okay.
honest. So I've initiated. I got the second initiation also. But in that case, like I've been initiated, but within like 6 months or maybe 8 months, my Guru Maharaj disappeared from this world. I did. In that case, what one should do? Like one should find a guru, who can give me the guidance.
If your Diksha Guru has given you complete and sufficient guidance and you are satisfied and you don't need to, you are feeling fully satisfied in the heart, it's a question of your heart. If you're feeling fully satisfied in your heart that you have all the explanations, you have been given the mood, then you will naturally not seek out. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, yavat kshudasti jathare jaratha pipasa tavat sukhaya bhavato nanu bhakshapeya. A person who is fully satisfied with eating does not seek another food. Right? But a person who is hungry will naturally seek food. If you are hungry, you will seek some instructions from a Shiksha Guru. If you are not feeling fully satisfied, that is your right to seek a Shiksha Guru if you are not fully satisfied. But if you are fully satisfied with the instructions given by your Diksha Guru, you will naturally not seek another one. That's a very personal question. You should privately ask yourself. Perhaps it is not to be discussed here because why to speak about one's personal inclinations in a public forum? Right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have Bhakti Pravina Mataji. Oops. Oh, sorry. I accidentally muted you. Go ahead and unmute again. There we go.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Sorry, it's getting late, but I just have another aspect of what we discussed earlier about learning the Shastras. So sometimes devotees bring up this argument or this thought that there are so many instances when Guru Maharajas, Guru Janas gave transcendental knowledge from within, just like or similarly like to Bhagavan giving transcendental knowledge to Shri in the heart. Like apparently it arises in the heart. And for example, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya sucked on Mahaprabhu's toe and got knowledge. And also when Srila Haridas Thakur explained all these intricacies about Harinam to Mahaprabhu in Harinam Chintamani, then he said that you are speaking through me. I'm not speaking, it's you. So when they give these arguments, So it seems like it's an argument that they don't want to study, or maybe they just genuinely maybe have some experiences or realizations, and so on the other hand, I feel like if I don't have these experiences, why should I wait? But there's also maybe this faith that these devotees would like to see, that we have the faith that we wait for the acharyas or for the gurujanas to give this knowledge from within, and it would be some kind of pride to try to learn it from like externally.
Okay.
How do we answer these doubts?
Okay. So first thing is, knowledge comes from both sources, from within and from externally. Let's have a clear praman for that, so that nobody will tell us in the future that knowledge only has to come from one source. So that is given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna yadi kripa kare, kona bhagyavane, guru antaryami rupe, shikhaya apane. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita 22.47. And the line says, Guru antaryami rupe, shikhaya apane. And Bhagavan teaches also externally as the Guru, internally as the Antaryami, as the Paramatma. You can see the translation. Please read the highlighted part. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji?
All right. I was asking her to read the highlighted part. It seems she got disconnected.
Oh, you want me to read?
Sure.
Okay. The whole thing? You highlighted a part at the end.
Yeah.
Instructing the person as the super soul within and the spiritual master without.
Yeah. So Bhagavan instructs somebody as the super soul from within and the spiritual master from without. Both ways Bhagavan instructs a person. Not only as the spiritual master externally, but also a super soul. Somebody who says, no, you should get only from the super soul, not from the spiritual master. Why are you closing one of the two gates? Second thing, when they give these examples, like they gave Haridas Thakur said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are speaking through me. So it is the receiver who should say naturally, I got knowledge from within. It's not a third person who's telling Haridas Thakur, you are supposed to say that you received from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's not like that. If somebody receives, they will say themselves. They don't need a third person to tell them. In the case of Shri Brahma receiving knowledge from within the heart, did somebody force Brahma to say that you received knowledge, or did Shri Brahma say it himself? Please tell me.
He said it himself.
He realized it himself. When Sri Haridas Thakur got knowledge within his heart, did he need a third person to tell it, or did he say it himself?
He himself.
Himself. So if I have direct experience of getting knowledge in the heart, I should be the certifier. How can a third person be a certifier of my knowledge? Why is a third person trying to certify my knowledge? If I am not receiving from within, then I should receive from without. The verse says I am allowed to receive from both places. If the day I receive from within, some knowledge I will receive from within. Shastra says 1/4 is learned from the Guru, 1/4 is learned from the other discussion with other devotees, 1/4 is learned by self-effort, and 1/4 is learned simply by the passing of time. The passing of time is when Bhagavan gives. And this does not negate instructions from the Guru. And if somebody says that, then from tomorrow you should not come to the assembly of the Guru. Sit at home and realize within yourself. Isn't it? So that let them apply their logic to themselves. But usually we should not speak like that. Otherwise our relationships with other devotees will get spoiled. We should know what is given in Shastra, and we should just say, okay. And then do what we want to do. That's it. Okay. Neither yes man nor no man. Okay. So that is what can be done.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. And sorry for not reading because I had a network issue, so I dropped out. Thank you.
You're muted.
Next we have Paramakarna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just very logistical, quick questions. Once again, thank you so much. I cannot be grateful enough for this wonderful discussion. Prabhuji, just logistical questions. So you mentioned there are two commentators on the Bhagavan Nam Komadi. Could you please repeat their names?
No,
Prabhuji?
I just know one commentary. It is Prakash commentary, Sanskrit commentary. Okay, I'll show you Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi's edition, and I will show you the name of the commentator, which is given there. Right, so I am sharing the screen so that you can get to see. Here is Shri Lakshmidhar Virachita, Shri Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi, Prakash Tika Upeta, along with the Prakash Tika of Shri Anantadev. So this is the standard commentary which explains the secret of Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi. And my understanding of Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi is through this standard commentary. I have not seen any other commentary on Bhagavan Nam Kaumudi. If there exists,
okay.
So if there exists some other commentary, I don't know, it has not been printed at least. This is the printed available commentary, Prakash Tika. All right.
Okay. So there's just one, So there's one commentary, and that is by Shri Anantadev Ji. And that is this one. And this scan is uploaded, you are saying, and there's only one scan. I mean, there are multiple
No, there's only
scans of the
same
there's
edition.
only one book.
Yeah,
one printed book.
Yeah, one printed book that
is
I
what
have seen.
Exists.
Yeah, is what exists. And this is the main edition. And thank you, very great thanks to Achyut Granthmala, because they published it from Varanasi. Achyut Granthmala published also Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu with Sri Jeev Goswami's commentary. And the same editor was there, Sri Damodar Shastri Goswami, a very big learned scholar of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So, previous century. So,
okay. So, and all of these are in Sanskrit only. There is no other language.
Only Sanskrit as far as I have seen. Only this edition as far as I have seen.
Yes. And in this edition that you are showing, there is also a third thing, some like very fine, those are probably just
footnotes.
Explanations of footnotes and explanations on grammar, correct?
Yeah. Footnotes, explanation. So the main text is by Sri Lakshmidhar. Then the commentary is by Shri Anantadev. Footnotes are by Shri Damodar Shastri Goswami. That's all.
But do the footnotes also contain tattva, or are they grammatical clarifications and that level?
Just basic, somewhere basic grammar, some basic mimamsa, because Shri Damodar Shastri was expert in all these subjects.
Got it. And Anantadas Ji is a Gaudiya. Anantadev Ji, sorry.
No. Neither is Shri Lakshmidhar initiated in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, nor is the commentator initiated in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. The original author is deeply respected by the acharyas of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And because the commentator is just helping understand the original author, therefore, there is due respect for the commentator too.
Just like in your reading of the,
just like Srila Sridhar Swami is not initiated as a Gaudiya Vaishnava, but there is deep respect for Srila Sridhar Swami in the Gaudiya Vaishnava community.
Of course. Yes. So in your understanding and your experience of going through Shri Bhagavan Nam Komadi, the explanations by Shri Anantadev Ji are perfectly in.
Yeah, they're just
in sync with
the name of the commentary is Prakash. It's just throwing light upon it. Nothing additional. Just explaining the original. That's it.
Okay, so it's perfectly safe to
go through. If somebody can go through it, then that's very good. It's a very terse and difficult text. If somebody can go through it, it is very nice. Right.
All right. Okay, got it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's been really wonderful being here with you. I'm going to invite everyone to unmute and give a big thank you to Hari Parshad.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Vaisya Kalpanavasya Kripasya
Prabhu ki jai.
Very much.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Srila
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare
Thanks,
Hare.
Prabhuji. Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Srila
Thank you,
Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhuji.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Prabhu ki
See you
jai.
next time.
Jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada
Thank you,
ki
Prabhuji.
jai. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.